Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Hey, everybody. Jason's here today. G. Bush and I are back, and we've got breaking news, guys.
What's that?
Oh,
Mike
don't
Evans
you do it.
and Chris Godwin have just asked to be traded
I knew you were
by
going to
the
do
Tampa
this.
Bay Buccaneers. Why, you ask? Because
Oh, my
Baker
God.
Mayfield has been named the starter. Baker Mayfield.
He's living rent-free in your head, Bull.
He is.
He's living rent-free in your head.
Rent-free. I got him in here. Baker is the starter. Are we excited that Baker will be starting for Tampa Bay?
No.
How many games before he's benched?
4.
It'll be a little longer. 6.
so?
Baker will win a game that he's not supposed to win, and then
Yeah.
go like 3 games in a row where he plays terrible.
That's true.
This might delay his big noon kickoff appearance
Yeah,
a
it's
year,
funny that
debut
you
a
say
year or
that
two.
because they tweeted out a picture of the big noon kickoff,
Yeah.
and you've said that so many times now that I was expecting to see Baker.
See
in the
Baker on the
picture.
panel?
I was like, where's Baker? Oh, yeah, wait a second. He's
It
still
may be
playing.
2026 now before he's on big
Well,
noon
that's
kickoff.
probably true. There you go.
I have the Buccaneers schedule. Let's play a game.
Yeah.
Week by week, when does Baker get benched? You ready?
Okay.
Week 1 at Minnesota.
Oh, that's a loss.
That's a smooth criminal.
He does not get benched, though.
Week
No.
2, home against Chicago.
They get to win that.
I give him a win, too.
You win.
Yeah.
Win.
Baker will
Week
be talking
3.
trash about all the doubters after that game. Nobody believed in me. I don't care what anybody thinks, but he's the king of I don't care what anybody thinks, but nobody believed in me. That's the Baker special right there. Go ahead.
Week 3, Monday Night Football against the Eagles.
Oh, they're getting crushed.
There's where he gets benched.
Hey, that game,
Right there.
That game. Oh my! Listen.
Week 3.
He gets turned into a pretzel and he's gone.
I think people talk about give him one more chance because the Eagles got the best D line in the game. Listen, just come back next week. He did play well to week 1. Remember, he played okay.
Yeah.
Week 3.
Week 3. I think we're all.
Hey, what's the next week?
This is interesting. After Philadelphia, they go to the Mercedes-Benz Superdome to take on New Orleans. And they have a bye. They have the same Week 5 bye as the Cleveland Browns. So on our bye week here in Cleveland, we could also be talking about Bulls and Jay's favorite topic, the one and only Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he'll probably get shot around because they'll lose to the New Orleans Saints
Yeah.
too.
It's
And then they'll sit him down.
going to be a rough go of it.
0-3, benched it against the Eagles.
Dang.
Poor Baker. All right. And his parents ripped him off for $12 million. You're not only a bad quarterback, but he's a bad businessman,
Hold
too.
on.
That's overtime. We're talking about that in
right,
overtime.
we'll get to
Oh, that didn't
Come
make
on.
that didn't make the. Oh,
What the hell?
This is a
Overtime.
Cleveland sports show.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right, Mikey. Well, by the way, happy. I know it's not the first day of school for every school district, but I know
It
know
is
for my
ours. Was it
son,
yours?
for yours.
Yeah, first
So
day.
I'm assuming there's a lot of school districts that are starting today. I know Lakewood starts Friday, which is why would you start on a
Start
Friday?
on Friday. That's dumb. Let's
They
just get
start
that out of the
school
way.
on a Friday?
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yeah, that's what I was taught because we lived in Lakewood when we first moved here, and so we still have some friends that live there. And one of Aaron's friends was over our house yesterday, and his mom told me that they start school on Friday.
Yeah, that's weird.
So are you guys? See, y'all got kids. Are y'all still dropping your kids off at school, taking them pictures, putting it on Facebook?
I don't put it on Facebook.
We do first day of school pictures.
I do a first day of school picture, and I just text them to my mother and my in-laws.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. Put
So
them
you
on
don't
Facebook.
put? Oh no,
I don't
that's
do
a
that
huge
shit.
thing.
Yeah, that's white people do that. I don't.
You're a white dude.
Nah,
I know you want
like-
to be.
and-
You're one of us.
And then, like, if you're a black dude and you're married, which
Yeah.
is hard to believe,
He said that.
yeah, like they be taking them pictures and posting them, be like, listen, I'm a father. Don't play with me. I was here,
And
they take money out of my check. Stop playing around. I'm gonna get these pictures off.
at 5:52 this morning, I was in my daughter's room playing the Adam Sandler "Back to School, Back to School." She told me last night 'cause she wanted to do her hair this morning. She's at that age now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Oh,
Brands matter. Got to do your hair, all that stuff. And she said, "Get me out of bed by 5:55, no matter what you have to do." I'm like, "Okay, you said it. I'll hold you to it."
What
And
is she
sure
going? What
enough,
is she going? 6th grade?
6th grade,
And AJ's going to 8th grade.
7th.
Oh, 7th.
7th.
Do you drive them to school?
No bus. They take the bus.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know if it's a coincidence or whatever, but Aaron had taken the bus, and as probably a lot of you guys remember, like he was sick a million times last year.
Yeah.
So the second semester, I started driving him back and forth because I was like, I feel like he's getting sick on the bus.
On the bus?
That's the most vulnerable
Well,
place.
the bus is the closest thing to a prison riot we have in the schools.
it's
Like,
insane.
I got my nose broke on the bus.
Do you know what I learned on the bus, man?
I learned everything.
Yeah.
I learned my whole life. Gee, what'd you learn on the bus?
Man, I learned that a man can't urinate during sex on a bus.
What?
I was like 12 years old, bro. I was like 13, and there was how do you
can't urinate?
So like
who would want to urinate during sex?
So basically, there was an older guy. There's always an older guy on the bus. Like he had a girlfriend. They was like living together. They was smoking cigarettes. They had matching tattoos. Like this dude was like the guru. He knew everything. So he was like dang near married. So all the rest of us little kids, we was like, bro, we ain't having sex or nothing. He was like, and then so I come up with a story. I'm like, but what if you got to go pee then during that time?
Yeah.
He's like, he calls everybody. Come on, shut up, stupid. It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't. It's actually impossible. And I remember this guy's name. His name is Gavin. So this dude named Gavin, who
stuck with you for all these years.
Oh, and he used to wear all black. They were matching black together. And I'm like, these guys are definitely not. They're not healthy. Like. He's not healthy. I don't know if they're still living today, but he taught everybody. Like I'm like, bro, he had his own line in his room. He's like, I say, well, what if a girl call your house like after like 11? Yeah. He's like, that's why you get a regular house line, stupid. You get your own line.
This is calling everybody stupid.
I'm like, bro, maybe he made me feel like I'm like, all right, well, no to Gavin. Shout out to Gavin, bro.
You do learn stuff on the bus.
Well, I looked out the window. I'm sure I deserved it. I don't remember what I did, but I was like, I had my back turned looking out the window, and this dude, Scott, I don't remember his last name, Scott, came over the top. Boom!
Why?
I'm sure I deserved it. I'm sure I said something.
Okay.
But came over the
punched
top.
in the nose.
I swear, I think he broke my nose. That's why my
It was
beak's
always
so big.
I don't know if this is still the case anymore. I drive my son to school, so I drove him the second semester. He didn't get sick as often, so I asked him this year, "You want me to drive you? Or you want to take the bus?" He was like, "Could you drive me?" I'm like, "Okay." So we got a plan. He's going to meet me at a certain place. Anyway, this is it though, because next year he goes to middle school. It's closer to our house. He's going to walk. Starting then. But when I was a kid, it was a big deal. Like the cooler you were, the further you
the
sat
back of the
towards
bus,
back, right?
Yep.
The cool kid sat in the back of the bus.
I think it's assigned seating now, actually.
It's a what?
Assigned.
Yeah, they don't play around
on the
no
bus.
more.
Maybe not. Maybe I'm making that up.
In
I
our
don't know.
district, I have like my aunt. She works as an attendant on the bus.
Yeah.
And so basically, you get on the same bus.
Yeah.
They got your name. They'll check it off. And they'll be like, listen, they'll call you, the people call your mom and be like, hey, did you send your kid to school today?
Yeah.
So then they sit on the assigned seats and they got like rules and stuff. When I was coming up, it was a free-for-all.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My kids love the bus. I hated the bus.
Yeah.
You walk the yard, you get shanked on the bus. Like, it's awful.
In Avon Lake,
Oh, it was
shanked
awful.
on the
Yeah,
bus.
it was awful. I hated the bus.
How long of a bus ride did each of you guys have to school? Because I think that makes a big difference.
I
in
had
the
a long bus ride to middle school because it was like So I lived in, first of all, it's New York City. I mean, it's Brooklyn, but I lived in Manhattan Beach, and then we'd go south. My middle school, or what we call junior high, was in Coney Island. So we had to go through Brighton Beach to Coney Island. For those who may know the area.
I mean, how long is that?
How long are we talking here?
Probably like 15 minutes.
Okay.
On a train?
No,
I was expecting longer than that. I was like to say
bus.
half hour.
Anthony says he had 90 minutes.
Oh
yeah,
my
so
God.
in high school, I went to Trinity in Garfield, and I was the last stop on the way home in Parma. So it took me an hour and a half because we had one bus for the whole school.
No, okay, yeah, I'm saying 15. No, I'm saying it was 15 minutes from my house to the school. I don't remember exactly how long it took because we had to make other stops.
Yeah, them
I
other
didn't think about
stops.
that.
Nuts.
Yeah, them other stops. I rode the bus. I rode the bus a little, and then I started playing sports. And
But in
then that
high
was all
school, I had to take the city bus to school, or I had to.
We don't have
whatever.
busing in high school, even at Avon Lake. We don't have
Yeah.
busing
Really?
to the high school. No, you either drive or walk, or your parents have to, like ninth grade.
Yeah, I didn't have a car in high school,
Yeah.
and then I lived. Well, the thing was, my mother was a teacher at the middle school right across the street from my high school, but I didn't want to ride to school with my mother when I was in high school.
Yeah.
So I would usually just take the city bus. In Brooklyn, in New York, they have good public transportation. So I'd take the city bus, and then I'd walk home from school. But it was a long way on the way back.
I was probably on the bus 10 or 11 minutes. That was still long enough to get my
Horrible.
nose broke and a barbell dropped across my throat.
Jeez. You were causing all kinds of havoc.
was
Jason
awful.
was probably hitting on the other guy's girls. That was probably what it was.
Well, I mean, I told you, I mean, it deserved it.
Yeah, there you go.
She said she didn't have no boyfriend, dog.
All right, Mike, we got a lot to get to on the Browns today. We are almost done with the preseason. The regular season will be here.
Facts.
What are we now, 19 days away?
19 days away.
19 days away from Browns-Bengals. The latest line still 1.5. Bengals by 1.5.
And we got plenty to get to today. Let's run through the rundown real quick. We're going to talk about a little bit on Elijah Moore and the Browns offense. We're going to make some 53-man roster projections. We have Aditi coming on at noon. What are the Browns up to by restructuring Joel Bitonio and Myles Garrett's contracts back-to-back? A hypothetical trade that is going to piss a lot of people off, and then maybe some final takes at the end. So
I texted Mikey last night and said, you're trying to get me killed.
Oh, yeah.
You're trying to get me killed.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's going to be mad at us on this one.
Definitely going to get mad at us. And if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe. It is totally free. It helps us out. We really appreciate it as we continue to get ready for Brown season. But with that.
Also, please subscribe to my new YouTube channel.
Yeah,
The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Please subscribe.
I didn't know you had that many episodes up there.
There's not that many right now.
It looked like it.
No?
It looked like it. Maybe it's good spreadonomics.
Yeah, there will be, though. But so please join my YouTube channel, The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Thank you.
Bull is
Go
now
ahead.
a competitor of ours. He's competing with himself. And I do want to shout out to the UCSS fan.
Yeah.
Bull said he had over 5,000 views on his Kyle Brandt video.
Yeah, it's about 5,500 now.
Yeah, we did like 8.5 yesterday, Bull. So you can't compete
Good.
with the UCSS
I'm
squad. So
happy that
once
both
again,
did
the
well.
UCSS fan base over the Bullpen, even though they really are probably the same people. We love you guys all. And with that, let's get to our first topic of the day. And I have to set this one up for you guys because I've been putting together the pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And last week during joint practices, Mary Kay came out. She was on the radio show in Cleveland, asked about the red zone struggles in the second day of joint practices for the Browns. And Mary Kay said, essentially, and I'm paraphrasing, they didn't have Elijah Moore, so they were very limited in what they could do offensively. Without Elijah Moore, it took a bunch of the pieces and a bunch of the plays from the playbook they want to run in the red zone out of it. And it's practice. It's still early, but without Elijah Moore, the offense was quite different. And then we had Kevin Stefanski on Saturday. He was asked about Elijah Moore and his versatility in the offense, and I'm going to play his response to that right now for you guys. Steve, I'm going to take tag board, and this is Kevin Stefanski on Elijah Moore.
I just think there's not really a limit to what he can do. I think he's a very good outside receiver, a very good inside receiver. You can put him in the backfield, put him in the wildcat. I think there's really just no shortage what you can do. And I say that just because of the skill set and because of the intelligence. So like you mentioned with the lining him up in the backfield, hadn't done a ton of that. But just if you think about the person and think about the player and what he's able to handle, we just felt like it'd be something that he can do. Not to say that we will do it every game, or maybe he'll be there all 50 plays in one game. It's really by game plan.
So we have articles about Elijah Moore being played at the wide back position, which Deebo Samuel does in San Francisco. We have reports from Mary Kay about the Browns' red zone offense not being the same without Elijah Moore. I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Do you guys get the sense that the Browns are almost building their offense around Elijah Moore for this upcoming season?
No, not at all. That's ludicrous, guys. That you build an offense around your quarterback, not around the wide receiver. It's absurd, especially not a wide receiver that's done nothing in the NFL.
Right.
We all like the potential of Elijah Moore. We all hope he's going to be a big part of this offense. I think he's going to be a big part of this offense. I'm expecting him to have a pretty good year for the Browns. But the idea that the Browns can't score in the red zone without Elijah Moore.
I mean, look at those numbers.
I mean, come on.
Look at those numbers from that. You're building your offense around that?
Yeah, I mean, give me a break. All right? If the Browns can't score in the red zone without Elijah Moore, they've got big problems.
Yeah.
That's ludicrous. And he's not even the best receiver on the team.
I mean,
By the way, in terms of what they've accomplished in their NFL career, he's the fourth most accomplished pass catcher on this team. Fourth, behind obviously Cooper, DPJ, and Njoku. I love the upside of this guy. It didn't work for whatever reason with the Jets. There's no reason he can't have a very nice season for the Browns. But the idea that they're building this offense around him or that they can't do anything without him is insane.
Did the Chiefs build their offense around Tyreek Hill when he was there?
Of course not.
No. Did they build it around Travis Kelce? No, they built it around Patrick Mahomes.
That's right.
Deebo Samuel, who you mentioned, is not really, I wouldn't say that the 49ers build their offense around him.
No, and they don't even have a stud quarterback.
No, they don't even have a great playmaker.
No.
Like, he's probably their best playmaker, but they don't build the offense around him.
No, I say Christian McCaffrey's their best
Well,
playmaker.
yeah, true. But, and I guess that goes to the point. I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of a running back in a pass-happy league, but that further strengthens the point of what we're trying to make here. This is not an Elijah Moore offense. That's ludicrous. This offense is built around 4. And if they don't score in the red zone, it's because of Deshaun.
That's right.
It's not because of Elijah Moore.
Right. G?
Let me get my Kool-Aid together.
Oh, boy. Here we
go.
Now, just because I sip my Kool-Aid doesn't mean I'm crazy. What are y'all talking about, bro? I can't even really get into the
With
mood
that dramatic build-up,
With that build,
I can't wait to hear what's coming.
This guy. No, that's not it. See, I knew this would happen. The Browns are now in today's age. They're trying to go new wave. We out of the Stone Ages where we have a forward passing game. It isn't dink and dunk, and we do a lot of other different things we've been asking for. Now all of a sudden, you telling me because you can't punch the ball in on the red zone, it's because Elijah Moore? First and foremost, he's all of what?
9?
5'8", 5'9".
I thought it was Elijah Moore, Mike.
I'll look up the exact numbers, but the 33rd team released their top 10 receivers under 6 feet tall yesterday. Elijah Moore was 9 on that list.
So he's short. He's a scat type guy. You can't just say that's your goal line package. Where's David Njoku? Where's Amari Cooper? Where's Donovan Peoples-Jones? What about your offensive line and your running game? Donovan, here's the thing, and I want to just get to it. I don't want people to start doing this. I don't want people to start being like, all right, if Deshaun Watson don't put up these type numbers, it's because that person is out or this person is out.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Nah, bro. When all these other good quarterbacks, it don't matter. They just be throwing the ball to no-name gangsters and they still look good in the red zone. That's up to you, Stefanski. You got one guy. Why don't they have anybody backing him up doing the same stuff that Elijah Moore does, right? You got to have depth. I just think sometimes we be overthinking it. No, Deshaun Watson is the guy who you build your offense around, and that's a simple point-blank period.
As G likes to say, there's levels to this thing, right?
Levels.
There's different levels of quarterbacks. And the tier 1 and I would say tier 2 quarterbacks, which ends either at 8 or 10 or 9 or 11, somewhere, depends on the year. Those top 2 tiers of quarterbacks, it shouldn't matter who they have around them. Yes, you want better talent around them, and the better talent you have around them, the better you're going to be. But especially in the short term, one play, one series, one game, the top quarterbacks should be able to have success with anybody. Anybody. And when obviously all these teams have pretty good players. It's the quarterbacks that are further down the line, like the Jared Goffs and then eventually the Baker Mayfields of the world. With those guys, yeah, things got to be almost perfect around them. But with somebody as talented as Deshaun Watson, I don't want to hear it. Folks, Kevin Stefanski and Deshaun Watson have no excuses. None. There's a referendum on both of them this year. Kevin Stefanski's got to get the most out of this offense. He's got to get the most out of Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson's got to play great. I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear about offensive line, receivers, nothing. Browns got plenty of talent. They've got depth. I don't want to hear it. It's not an Elijah Moore. Anybody that would say it's an Elijah Moore, basing the offense on that's the dumbest thing I've maybe ever heard in my life.
There's way dumber out there than that.
There is much dumber. But think about that. How often have we ever said that any offense is built around any wide receiver?
Not to mention, he's not even the number 1 receiver on the team.
No. He's like, come on. What is he, the 50th best receiver in the league right now? Now, maybe he gets to 30 this year. Maybe he gets to 25. I don't know. But the Bengals, Jamar Chase, the offense is not built around Jamar Chase. It's built around Joe Burrow. Give me a break. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
They yelled at me all last year for saying the offense was built around Nick Chubb. No, you can't. You cannot run the ball every play. We're not about to do that. I don't get it. Here's the thing. I guess Elijah Moore, we like him. We got a couple of receivers now. It's cool. I get it. We got some receivers. We gonna throw the ball around. But come on, man. He not even the highest paid on the squad. Like,
not even close.
Not even nowhere to be found.
Elijah Moore's the 6th highest paid receiver on the Browns.
6th? Wow.
Really?
Well, he's still on his rookie contract.
Well,
anyone they've paid real money to is making more money than
Well, who else? I mean, they're paying 6 receivers, legitimate contracts.
Cooper. Oh, hold up.
Cooper, DPJ. Is DPJ making more?
No,
He's on a
DPJ
rookie
doesn't make
contract,
more.
got
No.
drafted later.
Yeah.
But Godwin. Hold on. I had it up. I just closed the
you're
tab
on
by
crap.
Are
accident.
you counting Njoku in that?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, if you're counting tight ends, then yeah, because that slappy.
Yeah, well, it was pass catchers. It was the tight end
okay.
category.
Aiken's probably making more too.
Akins
then.
is probably
Akins
making
makes
like
more
a
than-
million
yeah.
Dang.
or whatever.
Yeah, but don't get it twisted. He'll be
Yeah.
good this year. I still think.
Oh,
he'll be
yeah. No one's saying
We
he's
all-
not
we
good.
all
He'll
like
be
it.
good
But here's
this
the
year.
thing now.
But he's
He's
not.
been built up so much. Like, think about this. If he had 950 yards and 6 touchdowns, I'd be like, that's a phenomenal season.
This
Wouldn't
year?
you guys?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like we've built him up to the point where some people will be disappointed if he has those numbers. Some people, he's just been built up so crazy. It's like, calm down. The guy's got a lot to prove.
Earlier this year was DPJ. So
Yeah.
he had a lot of the build up. Like, he had the residue on his name. Like, he just build up. I'm like, dang, DPJ about to get 1,200, and then we haven't seen him or
No,
heard from him.
at
So
all.
it's like, we'll see.
What do you think's going on with that, Jason? Do you have any clue on that? We haven't seen him. There's a few guys like Delpit and
Delpit.
Newsome. Like, what's happening with you? Why are these guys not playing at all? Do we know?
I think it's just the way that they've gone about handling the preseason.
You're going to Browns camp this week?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. Maybe we'll get some insight from you on that. Are you back here Thursday?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Because I'm like, what is happening here? Why are these guys not playing?
DPJ's name hasn't been mentioned, other than us asking where has DPJ been.
Yeah.
In no exaggeration, 3 weeks. He hasn't been in any of the camp reports. He hasn't been in any of the highlights they tweet out. It's Moore, it's Cooper,
like-
it's Watkins. I haven't seen him anywhere.
I ain't seen Delpit either. Have not seen, not just, okay, you're not playing. I'm not saying he's trash or something. I'm just saying we have not seen him. We just ain't heard from him, bro. We just not.
DPJ and a second-round pick for Stefon Diggs? We have to give him more than that?
Who says no?
We was doing that, right?
I threw some trades in the group chat yesterday that you guys didn't like. And they were clearly very serious trade suggestions.
Yeah.
Real quick, you mentioned Elijah Moore and his expectations for the upcoming season.
Yeah.
I want each of you guys to answer this question for me. What would he have to put up numerically to reach the level of expectations you think the Cleveland Browns fan base has put on him this season?
I would say 1,200 and like 8 touchdowns, the way the hype is right now.
Are you asking realistically or
No. To meet the expectations that you think
That
the
people that are
majority of
talking
the
about the
fans
offense
bang.
being
Oh,
built
1,000
around.
yards. Yeah, 1,000 yards.
I would say more than that even. I don't know.
I don't know how if Elijah Moore has more than 1,000 yards. It has 1,006 yards at the end of the year. I don't know how you could say that he underachieved
that would be
or disappointed.
That would be insane. But
That
I
would be
just feel like
totally
that's
insane.
the way people are
What did
building it up
DBJ
right
have last year? How many yards did DBJ
now. 8
have?
something,
Eight
right?
something. I'll have it right now.
Yeah, if he had 1,000, if Elijah Moore had 1,000 yards, I mean, I think realistically, what you said, 900, 850, 900.
With 5-6 touchdowns.
When
that'd
you
be
look at all the playmakers and
Yeah.
weapons that this team has,
that'd be great.
Yeah,
I would sign for that, no
Yes.
doubt. I mean, he's, that'd
but
be,
there's even with the 17 games, there's something magical and mystique about that
know.
1,000-yard number that I think a lot of Browns fans would probably expect him to have.
Especially when Deshaun Watson has to get 4,900 yards.
That's true.
Oh, you came down from 6,500.
No, it wasn't at 6,500. It was that, but I might have him up at 500 on the ground now.
Fuck. Oh. Mike, what do you
Five
got?
on the
What was
ground.
DPJ's number?
DPJ had 839 last year,
Okay.
61 catches and 3 touchdowns.
I mean, I think Elijah Moore is a more talented wide receiver
Yes.
than DPJ.
Yes.
So what you're telling me is they got a chance to have 3,000-yard receivers.
They got a chance. I think DPJ, Njoku, and Elijah Moore will all be between 650 and 950 probably.
Yeah.
Maybe even 750 and 950.
Yeah, they're not going to have 3,000-yard receivers.
I doubt it, but
That's only happened. We looked it up. I think 3 times in NFL history.
Yeah,
where
that's
a
not
team has had
happening.
3,000-yard receivers.
I think the Redskins did it with Gary Clark and a few other guys.
I would think the Rams, right? Greatest show on turf.
But
Who's
there
their
was a
third
running
receiver?
back.
Well, Falk maybe.
Was Isaac King? No, he was a return guy.
No, they didn't have a third receiver.
They didn't have a
in
third.
that
Now,
group.
Falk had 1,000 yards receiving.
It's
though.
happened 5 times.
including
5
running
times.
backs or.
You want to read?
ahead, if
you have the list.
Arizona Cardinals and the Washington Redskins are on that list, and I believe
That
the
is
Houston
correct. Those 2 of the
Oilers.
5, G. The Cardinals in 2008, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden, and Steve Breston.
Steve
Breaston.
Stevie B.
Michigan's own Steve Breaston.
1989, the Redskins, Art Monk, Ricky Sanders, and Gary Clark.
I remember that team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you guess the other 3? One has been in the last 20 years. One was in 1995, and one was in 1980.
Patriots? Did the Patriots do it?
Right conference, though, for the recent one.
Colts.
Correct.
Reggie
Pierre
Wayne,
Garçon.
Harrison.
And, Bull, you should know this one. It's been on your podcast. He's white, just like you.
Tony Gonzalez, right?
No.
What? Brandon Stokely.
Oh,
Stokely.
Bad
I
job
thought,
out of you,
I thought
Bull.
Tony
Good
Gonzalez had a 1,000-yard year for the Colts. Maybe not. Or maybe it was a different
Tony
year.
Gonzalez for the Colts?
Yeah. Didn't he?
He didn't play for
Tony
the Colts.
Gonzalez.
Yes, he did.
He played for the Chiefs.
Our guy.
Anthony
Anthony Gonzalez.
Yeah, he did.
No, it was Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and Brandon Stokely.
Can I tell you a 5-second Anthony Gonzalez story?
Yeah.
Because he grew up in Avon Lake, and I was talking the legendary umpire there, Mike Menino, has been there forever. And when AJ hit his 2 home runs over the fence, we were talking about it. He said nothing will top Anthony Gonzalez hitting 23 home runs over the fence
Oh my
in
God.
that city league, in that rec league.
That's crazy.
in Avon
And
Lake.
nobody, and 2 is the most, like.
Oh, we had a kid last year hit like 6. So 2,
okay.
but 2 is the most this year.
Yeah.
But back in the day,
But 23.
Anthony Gonzalez, the receiver, went to Ohio State, played in the
that's,
NFL, was on our show,
Yeah.
hit 23 home runs
Yeah.
one year.
Way above the
The
rest
other
of the
2, by the
competition.
way,
Go ahead.
the 95 Atlanta Falcons with our guy Eric Metcalf, Terrence Mathis, and Burt Emanuel.
Never would have guessed
Never.
that. No.
In 1980, the San Diego Chargers,
Oh,
Kellen
Eric Coryell.
Winslow, Charlie Joyner, and John Jefferson.
But Kellen Winslow was a tight end, though.
That's with Dan Fouts as the quarterback. I can't believe the Rams didn't do it with Kurt
Did-
Warner.
The Rams never did it with Marshall Falk, or is it just receivers that they're saying?
No, he's counting tight ends.
I was counting tight ends. I just searched. As
Oh,
a team
they,
member at
oh, they
3,000
definitely did
receivers.
it.
Falk, I don't know if
Yeah.
Falk had 1,000.
Oh, no, he had
receiving.
1,000.
Did he?
Yeah, he had 1,000.
I think he had multiple seasons of over
Oh, he
1,000
had
yards.
1,000.
Because
I'm looking it up right now, Bull. Marshall Falk receiving
Yeah.
had 1,000 yards one year
Only once?
in
Okay.
1999.
They had
And
to be-
on that St. Louis team, I'm looking up there.
Isaac
Yeah,
Bruce,
Bruce and Holt.
Torrey Holt.
Receiving, where's the yards?
They had the both. be able-
Torrey Holt only had 788 that year.
Really?
He must have got hurt.
Yeah, he missed
Played
games?
16 games.
Oh, wow.
Started 15.
Wow.
That's
Surprised.
weird. All
Yeah.
right, so then.
All right.
97 targets, 52 receptions.
Yeah, the Browns are not getting 3,000-yard pass catchers, but they could have 4 guys with not. And this is probably not uncommon with over 700 yards.
I'd take that, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Actually, to be truthful, we didn't even understand. See, we tripped. We had DPJ in there, but it changes everything when you put Austin Watkins Jr. in there.
We're getting to that next, G. That is a great transition. Before we get to it,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you guys real quick. We had a super chat yesterday that we didn't get a chance to read, and it is
Yeah.
my bad. It was from our guy, Rahul Ganesh, the #1 UCSS fan in India.
Shout out
he
to
tweets at us all the time. He
Is he
sends us
really
super chats.
from India?
Yes.
He is from India. He sent us the super chat in whatever the Indian currency is yesterday, which
Yeah.
translates
Rupees?
to American dollars. So, Rahul, we appreciate you. We apologize for not reading that super chat yesterday. It was about Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett. We're going to talk about Myles Garrett later, so we will get to that. But we appreciate you, Rahul, and tell all your friends to like and subscribe, because that would boost our numbers way up if we could get a stranglehold of the Cleveland Browns market in the great country of India. So, Rahul,
there
we
it is.
appreciate you.
You know, there's more people in India than in the United States.
Isn't there more people in India than anywhere else in the world?
For the first time,
China.
just in 2022.
I think China's won
China's
India
won.
too.
No,
right?
India had just taken over China.
Really?
Yes, and it will be like that for the foreseeable future. China is number 2. India has taken over them.
India has surpassed China. Shout out to Rahul. Keep doing you, buddy. All right, you guys ready for the next
A lot of
topic?
sex being had in India. Do you know which country is 4th behind? And by the way, to put in, so India's got 1.4 million people.
Billion.
billion.
Billion, sorry. And
Bad
China's
job,
got
Andy.
1.4 Yeah, also 1.4 billion people. The United States is third with 333 million.
Wow.
I mean, that's how there's over 5 times the amount of people in India and China than in the U.S.
Java has.
Indonesia, number 4. You're right. Good job out of you. 275 million.
G. Bush Never Sleeps. All documentaries. YouTube.
Speaking of documentaries, the new Swamp Kings documentary came out.
Ooh.
All 4 parts on the Urban Meyer Florida saga and
I'm
drama.
just not interested.
What
I can't wait to watch
name.
that.
Swamp
Swamp Kings, that's pretty good.
I can't stand Urban. I don't like Tim Tebow, even though everybody loves him. I mostly hate Tim Tebow fans.
Yeah,
more than
you
anything.
can't hate Tim Tebow.
Well, then hate watch the
You can't
doc.
hate Tim Tebow.
I don't hate
People
him.
hate watch you every day, Bull. You can hate watch a documentary for 4 hours in your life.
That was good.
That was cold.
That was
Fair,
good.
fair.
That was cold.
I don't want to hate watch. I don't hate watch. though.
Tim Tebow has done nothing to anyone.
I know.
That's right.
I don't hate him.
Except
I
do
hate
it
the
the right
people
way.
that like. I hate the people that are obsessed with him. Those are who I
don't know if anyone's obsessed with
They're
him.
obsessed with him. Not anymore, but they were.
All right, next
Nobody
topic.
can be that righteous, can they?
Are you still trying
Can
to
they
find?
be?
Are you still trying to find dirt on him?
There's got to be some
Let me
dirt.
tell you something. Let me tell you something about Tim Tebow. He
Last
does.
point that I'm taking control back.
Okay, take it back.
He does a night of God. I can't. I have to look it up. A night of something for like special needs kids.
Yeah.
And it's like a prom for them all over the country. And he takes his like plane or chopper and just surprises at random ones. My wife was involved. I'm not going to take any credit for it. I was with her.
Yeah.
And we went to one of these one night. It was unbelievable.
All right.
It was unbelievable.
I guess I'm gonna have to live with
He
it.
has enough money for a plane.
Oh yeah.
He's loaded like that.
Of course he is.
Yeah.
From what?
From TV.
Speaking engagements.
Speaking
TV.
engagements.
You know how much he must get for all these speaking engagements? He's locked and loaded.
He is. He is in an evangelist.
Endorsements.
He is in the Bible Belt. All right.
Yeah.
Touche. All right.
All right. I don't hate Tim Tebow. I just hate this
Night to
man.
Shine, I think is what it's called.
Let me look at his network.
It is the night to shine. It's an awesome event. You should check it out. if you're not
Unbelievable.
familiar.
It's
Go
incredible.
ahead.
Next week, though, the Browns have to trim their roster down to 53, as do the other 31 teams in the NFL. And as it stands today, before the final preseason game, Andrew Berry and company are going to have some difficult decisions to make. There are a lot of talented players on this roster who will not be on the 53-man roster just based on roster
Are there
construction.
really difficult decisions? How many difficult decisions? Give
If
me
you
one
guys-
difficult decision.
If you guys all agree on who will and will not make the team, then I'll take
Do
the
you
L
think
on
there's
this
a lot
one.
of difficult decisions?
I think injuries complicate this all the time.
I mean,
I don't.
at the back end of the roster on any team, I don't know that there's that many difficult decisions.
Well, we're going to find out because we
All
have
right.
5 different position groups today that we're going to talk about. We're going to get to the other ones later. I didn't want to make this a 3-hour topic.
I think this is a bad job out of you, Mike, because it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle. One affects the other. So I'm
Exactly.
very perturbed by this.
Well, if we did all of them, it'd be a 2-hour show. We wouldn't be able to get them all in.
I don't know.
So
It's pretty interesting. Let's
we're going to go with these 5 today, and we're going
Yeah.
to start with the person G. Bush just alluded to a few minutes ago, Austin Watkins Jr. in the wide receiver room. These are the 9 receivers. There are more on the roster currently, but these are the 9 I think will be at least in the discussion, and some of them maybe not fully in the discussion.
Have you looked up by each position? Generally speaking, how many NFL
I
teams
was
keep?
okay. So I was looking at this. This was my thoughts.
Probably 6 or 7 for
The
receivers.
Browns are going to keep 3 quarterbacks,
Yes.
right? Some teams only
Yes.
keep 2. The Browns will keep 3.
Yes.
At running back, a lot of teams keep 4. I think the Browns only have 3 running backs,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yes.
So tight end, I'm assuming 3.
Yes.
Okay,
I think
so-
we said 2 before, but I think it will be
I think it'll be 3. Then 3 specialists, so that's 12. I think 10 offensive linemen,
Yep.
which would put you at 22.
Yep, I agree with all that so far.
And then wide receiver, I'm going to say 6.
6 or 7.
6
I-
or 7,
I
right?
think 6.
D linemen, I got 10 D linemen, which is, could be 9. But I'll say 10, 5 linebackers, and 10 defensive backs. Now, there's some flexibility there since you're only keeping 3 running backs. You could go with 9 DBs, 9 D linemen, or 9 O linemen and grab a spot. One of the Browns. One area I think that there are some tough decisions is on the depth of the offensive line because they've got some quality depth
Because
on offensive line. on the
I was
offensive
looking.
line.
Do you know the highest graded center is Luke Whippler in the whole preseason?
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Well, but he's going to make the team.
He'll make yeah.
He'll make the
he'll
squad.
make the team.
He'll
Right,
make
right,
the squad.
Yeah.
So-
Because I was thinking Nick Harris was going to get his minutes and he wasn't going to play.
Right. So that's it. So the Browns have some flexibility to keep 7 wide receivers if they want.
All right. So
But I think 6 is like 6 is probably more likely.
Yes.
So let's start with receivers. And
Okay.
if you want to keep 7, that means when we get to the other positions,
Yeah.
at least today, you have to cut someone out. But these are the 9 receivers I think will be in the discussion, some more than others, to make the final 53-man
All right,
roster.
guys.
These are
So-
starters and backups, and Bull, you can start.
Yeah, so guys, so Cooper, Moore, DPJ, and Tillman are locks. We know those 4 are locks.
Yep.
I think Bell is a lock for the roster. They just drafted him last year.
Yep.
You guys agree or disagree?
Yes,
I agree.
He's
Okay,
on.
so that's 5. So are we all in agreement they're only keeping 6, or you think there's a chance they'll keep 7?
I think it's 6.
Okay, you think so
6.
too? Okay, so the last spot comes down to Schwartz, Watkins, Grant, Godwin. Now, Godwin, I don't even know if he can play.
Can they put him on the pup list?
So I
If he
think
real quick, to put Godwin on the PUP list, he has to make the 53-man roster.
right.
You can't put him on the PUP list unless he's on the 53G. So
I-
keep that in
I'm-
mind.
If you put him on IR before the 53,
Then
he's
he's
out
gone
for the year. He's out for the year.
Right.
Dang, they don't got that 6-man IR, that 6-week IR no more.
Not before the season.
Damn.
They no.
You can move him to IR after you get to the 53 deadline.
Right.
After
Okay.
that
And then
passes.
pick somebody else up, but
Right.
somebody could be gone.
All
But
right.
let's
I see what
assume Godwin's not there
I don't think he's playing at all this year.
because I don't think he's going to play.
No, I don't think so.
So it comes down to the final 3, the final spot between Schwartz, 3rd-round pick who's done nothing, Jakeem Grant, who was brought in to be a returner, although he hasn't played in the preseason and he's been hurt, and Watkins, who's an undrafted free agent, came out of nowhere, but he's obviously impressed in training camp and in the preseason. Usually I lean against the preseason superstars because the Browns have had a guy like that every year, and they usually cut that guy.
Oh,
And everybody goes, what? But
They had that every year. They had that. I've seen
you
these
just
guys.
forget about him because it's the preseason.
I know.
They had that little white dude a few years ago. Everybody was going bananas.
We was never giving.
Remember that little white dude?
Nobody was ever keepking a little white dude a receiver.
Nobody was ever
Remember
having
that guy, though?
No.
He was a mixed dude, and he was returning
he wasn't
kicks.
mixed.
You talk about the dude Severini.
No, not
Darren
him.
Severini, he was an
No,
actual.
I hear you talking. The return guy who was a big story.
Return
no, not that
who,
guy.
who snuck his way to the camp.
Remember that guy stuck his way in the
Yeah,
camp and
yeah,
big
yeah,
return?
yeah,
But I'm not
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about him. There was a little white dude like 3-4 years ago.
Andy Isabella? Was he
No,
here?
he wasn't on the Browns.
Nah, that never happened.
Everybody talks about Andy Isabella. This guy can't make any teams. I don't want this.
He's played.
No, it's a guy you never heard of. I think his last name started with a W. Every Browns fans was like, we got to keep this guy. He didn't even make a practice squad for anybody. Now, this kid is, but this year I'm going different. I'm giving the last spot to Watkins. I think he makes, Jakeem Grant, forget him. I don't need him. Anthony Schwartz is garbage. So let's see what Watkins has got. Might as well keep a guy who's shown some potential here with the 6th spot. What do you guys got for the 6th spot?
Man, Watkins, man, Bell lucky because Watkins better than him right now today. He lucky. To me, when I'm looking at the roster, I go Cooper, Elijah Moore, a.k.a. the guy that the offenses are built around.
Yep.
DPJ, the people's champ, because DPJ they love him. And then my 4th receiver, who has outplayed all of them, is Watkins Jr. Tillman is a rookie. I don't know what he's going to do. I like his upside. And then we got Bell because they like Bell and he just does his work and he did score a touchdown this offseason. But Goodwin, I don't think is playing. Grant, I don't know what's up with him. We have not seen him at all. He's on the milk box. And Schwartz, we already know he was up out of here.
How about you, Jason? Who's your 6th guy?
If really the question with Watkins is, can you get him onto the practice squad? If you
So
think
you don't think they're going to keep?
No, I'm saying if you don't, if you like him and
Yeah.
you don't think you can slide him through to the practice squad, you got to protect him.
Right.
And I don't think he makes it to the practice squad. I think somebody else would claim him.
Right, the way he's played.
Yeah. And so for that reason, I think he's in.
Right.
I've said for months I didn't think Jakeem Grant was making this team. Now the
Right.
Goodwin injury changed that a little bit and opened up a spot for him, but I still don't think he makes his team. If you're comfortable with DPJ as a punt returner, I don't know what role
Right.
Jakeem Grant really
Well, Felton
fills for
could
you.
return
If he's
also.
here, Felt
Yeah.
may not be here.
That's true.
But that's why I'm counting on DPJ. If you can, and now that you have Elijah Moore here, now that you have Tillman here, you have a little bit more depth at receiver. I don't know if it's as big of a risk with DPJ on punt returns.
Good point.
So
Yeah.
if you're comfortable with DPJ as a punt returner, Jakeem Grant's expendable. You don't need him.
Yeah.
So
All
that's
right.
why I think you're right. I think it's Watkins and Grant probably gets cut. If you like Jakeem Grant as a returner and you think you can slide Watkins to the practice squad, you think you can get him through, maybe you go that
you
way.
could also keep 7, 7 wide receivers. Since you are only probably going to keep 3 running backs, you can get away with a 7th receiver. But I think we're all in agreement here, Mikey, on wide receiver.
Cool. Let's
Does
move on to
the
the
behind
next
the
one.
glass crew disagree?
No, I think Earl, Anthony, we all think Watkins Jr. finds a way into this team, right? Yeah, we're all in agreement. We're in agreement. Even though I do think Jakeem
now,
Grant.
one thing that's
I think real quick,
interesting-
I do think
Yeah.
they keep 7, and I think Jakeem Grant is also kept.
One thing that's interesting, though, is who is going to be their 4th receiver. You're convinced it's Austin, and I think it's going to be Tillman as their 4th
Well, they like Tillman a lot.
Yeah.
I think they got more. See, we used to the Browns only having like one formation with more than one wide receiver.
Right.
So all these dudes gonna get a chance to play.
Yeah,
Like
the 4th guy is going to play
yeah, he
a
gonna
decent
play
amount of snaps.
Like he gonna get
So-
some minutes. Like
Yeah.
depending on where they at. So
Right.
I think he gonna get some minutes, man.
All right, Mikey, what's next?
Next up are the linebackers. We're going to kind of bounce around from position to position here. But the
Okay.
linebackers, Bull, you mentioned earlier, possibly keeping 5.
Yeah.
Well, here's 7. You have Anthony Walker Jr., JOK, Taki, Jordan Kanasic, Mama, I say his name wrong.
Diabetes.
Diabate.
Diabate, Tony Fields, and Adams, who they signed. He's a special teams ace this offseason. According to your projections, Mr. Bull,
Yeah.
2 of these guys are gone.
Yeah, I think it's easy, guys.
Who's out?
I mean, I think it's the guys on the left, including Kanasic, and then Adams, who's a special teams guy. I think that's the 5. Tony Fields has done nothing in his time here. I know he was drafted, but he was a late pick, right?
Do you not have Diabate on that list?
I don't have Diabate.
Oh Lord Jesus! That kid's gonna play.
Diabate?
Diabate is
So
going
you got
to
him
play.
instead of Kanasic?
Heck yeah! I got him better than Adams and Kanasic. I don't listen. That guy. Listen.
But Adams is a special teams guy. They brought him in specifically for that.
We don't care about that.
But the
care
5th,
about that. We don't
the
care
5th linebacker's got to be a special teams guy.
That's your base. Your 5th and 6th is.
Oh, you think they're going to keep
Well,
6?
they could. I think they
Well,
could.
if they keep 6, then you keep Diabate and Adams and Kanasic.
But they have to be special team standouts.
Right.
And Kanasic has played on special
Right,
teams in
and
the past.
so then maybe they
Diabate
keep
could.
6.
Fields could.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Fields has played on special teams
I'm getting
as
rid
well.
of Fields. Fields is 7th to me on this.
Fields play a lot. Fields been playing a lot since he got here. Like
But they
whenever.
don't do anything.
Listen, if you're gonna keep, it's either between Kanasic and Adams. Which one you want?
Well, I mean, we gotta have one white guy at linebacker.
All right, we'll keep the white dude for you. See, this is how we work out. See how we keep one. Listen, I'm a fair guy. Give you something.
I'll give you one.
Yeah, I if they keep 6, I don't know. I think it's time to move on from Tony Fields.
Are you looking at me to respond to that?
Yeah, I
I
guess.
don't think that's crazy. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Was Tony Fields the one who ran into the punch
Yes.
last year?
Yes.
When I think of Tony Fields, and I'm sure he's done more than
He
that.
had a couple. He made a couple big plays as well.
He's played
on
well.
defense and
He
on
had an
special
interception
teams.
last year.
Yeah.
It comes down to Adams and Kanasic.
and we gotta get rid of Kanasic.
So
gotta get rid of the white dude.
Well, I
Get rid of
gave
him.
y'all the white dude. I was trying to give y'all like
Yeah,
him.
forget it. I don't need a white dude.
I think Kanasic's on this team because I think he plays on multiple special.
He plays
teams.
on all
Yeah.
of them.
Well, that's why I think him and Adams are both on the team because they're
Yeah.
both special teams guys.
Yeah.
Now, listen. I might go outside of my framework here. If Taki is not playing, Diabate might be lined up starting for you.
Really?
That is how much he flashed. This dude is nasty. He can move. He has instincts. Now, guess what? He's not going to come out. I'm not saying that he's out here the second coming of Brian Urlacher or nothing. But what I am saying is he showed me enough to point where it's like, okay, well, I
right.
can play him on some rundown.
Well, I mean, listen, if he's flashing that much, it's not like they're so good at linebacker that you shouldn't keep him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, Mike. Let's go.
Jason, who'd you cut? I missed if you would answer that.
Oh.
I didn't think we got your answer.
If you're keeping 6 of those 7, who you cutting?
Give me the list again.
Steve, go back to 194.
Pull that back up, Mikey.
Put it back up. Give me that. Yeah, right. Bring it
Anthony
right over
Walker.
here.
Let's go
JOK.
tag 1 3/4 here.
Taki, Kanasic.
Walker, JOK, Taki. I'm keeping all 4 on the left. I am keeping 6, I think. I'd keep all 4 on the left and Diabate and Adams and get rid of Fields.
There you go.
Although, I think Fields is on this team.
They like him for some reason.
So maybe it is a tough call. You were right, Mike. There are some tough calls, apparently.
Sometimes Sometimes.
You are correct, my friend.
I have an idea what I'm talking about. All right, Steve, we're going to go to the offensive line next here. Now, I didn't list the starters because we know the 5 starters, Conklin, Pocic,
we know the 5 starters. I can't think of them.
Teller, and Jed Wills will make the team.
Yeah.
So these are the backups. These are the 9 backups listed on ESPN.com.
Ooh.
All right, so
We assume they're going to keep at least 9, potentially 10.
So we know for sure Jones and Whippler are on the team. We know for sure Hudson's on the team, right?
Yeah.
We agree that there,
Yeah.
Jason, or no?
Yeah, Hudson's on the team.
That's
All right,
8.
so that's 8. Now, they drafted Nick Harris fairly high. Well, what was he? Was he like a 4th-round pick?
Fifth, I think.
Was it 5th?
Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to be your starting center last year.
He's
Forbes
on.
never stays healthy. I don't need him on this team. Dunn's done a nice job when they've needed him.
Yep.
That's my squad.
Those 5: Hudson, Harris, Dunn, Whippler, and Jones.
Yes.
Those are your 5 backups.
Yes.
And you go with 10.
Yep.
Hudson, Harris, Dunn, Whippler, and Jones. Actually, I agree with that. I think it's Dunn or Forbes. I don't think you keep them both. There's
Right.
some overlap there.
Yep.
And Harris, I mean, are you really keeping 3 centers?
He can play guard though.
Are you sure? Because he's a
I-
little
you know,
dude.
I seen
He's a
him-
little dude.
I seen him play guard the
Yeah.
first year when
They-
it was the COVID year against the Jets.
Whippler's also played guard in the preseason.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there.
Well, maybe that's the
They
save
might
then.
only keep 9 offensive linemen.
I think you keep 10. I think it's 10.
For the sake of this,
Yeah.
let's just say it's 9. Just have fun here.
If it's 9,
If it's 9, who's the odd man out?
I might
Dunn
cut
or-
Harris.
Dunn or Forbes. Harris is a
No, Forbes is gone either way.
Yeah,
because
Harris-
Hudson. We all agree Hudson, Whippler, Jones are here. That's
Yes.
8. So if it's 9, you can only keep 1 of Hudson or Harris or Dunn.
I'm
You're
keeping
keeping
Harris.
Harris.
If
I'm
you're
keeping
comfortable with Harris at guard, which I'm not sure I am and I'm not sure
Yeah.
they are.
I would keep Dunn as the 9th guy. If it had to be 9, I'd keep Dunn. If it's 10, I keep Harris and Dunn.
I'm keeping Harris just for versatility's sakes. I like guys that can play center and guard, so that means Whippler and Harris can play center or guard. I like that.
Well, Dunn can do that too. Dunn can play center
and
or
I
guard.
like Dunn, and I think Drew Forbes has played decently.
He has, but he's had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. There's some depth here,
Right.
where they could potentially, make a small trade, where if they're looking for, an extra.
I mean, you're not going to get anything for Drew Forbes.
No.
You
But you maybe trade a
Nick-
little higher up the depth chart.
Nick Harris is the guy I think.
Right.
Could
I,
be some trade.
I don't know what you're going to get for Nick Harris. What's he done?
No, but I'm saying you trade with another team that's got a borderline
No, I get it.
guy at another
I get it.
position that
But
you
like,
need.
I mean,
sixth.
yeah, I mean, even look what you stole Wyatt Teller from Buffalo.
Yeah.
and that was I think 2 5s, and he hadn't really played.
6.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, you
Well,
might
no,
get
what
a
I'm saying
you
is,
might
like,
get 1 5 or a
I'm
6
thinking
for
of like a
Harris.
player for a player trade. That's what I'm thinking about. I remember one year
yeah.
right before cutdown day, the Bengals traded what's his name, the offensive lineman who was a bust, 1st-round pick, Billy Price, and they traded him to the Giants for B.J. Hill. So like an offensive lineman who's borderline cut for a defensive lineman for a borderline cut.
A trade worked out for both teams, by the way.
No, Billy Price sucks. B.J. Hill's been great for the Bengals.
Billy Price started like 10 games for the Giants.
Yeah, but he stinks, and their line stinks.
That's fact.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I want the best line. Give me the best guys available.
Yeah.
I ain't even really looking to make no trade because like you said, I don't
Yeah,
want
but
no
if it's a guy who's
excuses.
not going to make the team,
Yeah. I
you
mean,
know what I'm saying? Like,
But I have a hard time cutting Harris because if you think he can still play, he went from your first team center to obviously he had enough talent to be your starting center. If he could acclimate, it's all about who can play guard the best. If I'm looking at it like, can Dunn play guard better than or how much you giving up with Harris?
That's true. Especially because, what's the name? Wyatt Teller has been
Teller
hurt a
been
lot.
hurt on a lot.
Yeah. All right, Mikey, what do we got next?
Next up is the defensive tackles. Now, I separated D tackles, D ends. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't
That
the
was a
smartest
misstep,
move
potentially.
because you could finagle defensive ends, defensive tackles for one
Right.
defensive line group. But bear with us for this. This is the defensive tackle room, and there were 7 guys listed on ESPN as guys in the depth chart. You have Dalvin Tomlinson, Shelby Harris, Mo Hurst, Siaki Ika, Jordan Elliott, Tomi Togiai, and Tristan Hill.
So at most, you're going to keep 5 of these guys.
At most.
Probably 4.
4.
I think it's 4 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
All left hand side.
I agree. I don't
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to talk about. The only question with Hurst is health. He's healthy now. I'm keeping the 4 on the left side. Jason?
Now that they signed Harris, I think that bumps Elliott probably.
Yeah, Elliott sucks. I don't want him on this
If you
team.
keep 5, it's probably Elliott.
Yes. Agreed.
But yeah, I think it's the 4 on the left.
Yep.
Before we move on to the last one, based on Mo Hurst's injury history, and he's looked really, really good in preseason. He's been healthy. He's flashed in every single game he's been on the field. Would you have a little more reason to keep a 5th defensive tackle?
No, because they got ends that could play in the middle if necessary.
Well, and they've got Shelby Harris can play on the end.
Yep.
So
Right.
if you want to keep
players.
Jordan Elliott, Shelby Harris shifts to end, and you just open a spot for
there's a lot of
Elliott.
flexibility there, so
Yeah.
it's fine. No.
Okay, cool. And I asked that question because I had to stall because we had to update one graphic.
Yeah, Jordan Elliott's he's a bum. I mean, let's face it. No offense, but
And we go to our last one. Now, Bull, you said earlier none of these would be hard. We've already had one difficult one. I'd be shocked if we're all in agreement on this one.
Okay.
The safeties. How many safeties are you keeping?
Yeah, but
and who's getting cut?
It's not because they're all great. It's just because who the hell's the 4th guy? I mean, they're all undrafted slappies. I think it's Hickman, right? Weren't we excited about Hickman?
Yeah.
Obviously, Delpit, Thornhill, and McLeod are on the team. Those are your top 3 safeties.
And Hickman beat out Bell.
Right. I don't even know who McAllister and Medors are, to be honest.
Yeah.
Meadors was a XFL signing.
No.
Why would this be difficult?
It's easy.
Well, could you go with 3? Do you need 4?
Well, that's part of the question. And then 2, you guys ready to just cut bait with Bell? You guys are good?
No, I think he's another special teams guy. I think he's a guy who could play on special teams.
I think so. I think Bell's on this team.
Well, if you want to keep 5 of them. But here's the thing. Ronnie Hickman is going to be on this team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
First of all, you can't get that many interceptions and be around the ball that much and like flash and be like, okay, I really like Hickman. Now, if you want to say I like Bell too, I like DeAnthony Bell last year. I think he's a special teams guy. Meters and McAllister have no chance to make the roster.
Yeah. All right, so I guess there is some discussion.
I don't think Hickman's a lock to make this team.
I don't think he's a lot, but I would.
He's a practice squad guy to me.
I think he could play.
Yeah.
Now what may hurt him?
They're not going to keep 5 safeties.
No.
on the active roster.
I don't know if they keep 4.
What may hurt him is I don't know if is he going to play this week.
Hickman?
Yeah, did he get banged up?
He got banged up a little bit.
I'll see if I can
Yeah, I don't
confirm.
know.
I don't
So,
think they've ruled him
can't
out.
battle. It's whoever played the best in this game against Kansas
You know what?
City.
If he's kind of banged up, it's actually not a bad thing because then they could get him.
Slide him through.
They could slide him.
Although you could sign a guy off another practice
You
squad at
could,
any
but
time.
that's true. But if he's banged up, no team's going to pick him up
Right.
with a 53-man roster.
Right.
initially.
Right.
So I agree.
That
with you.
if you're keeping a 4 safety, it has to be a special teams
Right,
guy.
right. So
Ronnie Hickman's not playing over top of those other guys.
That's true. Fair.
So it has to be, if you're keeping 4, that 4th guy has to play special teams. That's why I think Bell has the advantage.
Fair point. Go ahead, Mikey. There you go.
I do think Bell is the one they end up keeping over Hickman, despite the fact that Hickman in the preseason games has outshined Bell on the field. I think what he said is spot on there from Jason.
Yeah, I mean,
that 4th guy's a
your
special
4th
teams
safety
guy.
is probably not playing defense.
No. Not unless you've got a ton of injuries.
Right, and so
Which can happen.
the 4th safety is spending way more time playing special teams than playing defense.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know. I haven't been spot shadowing Hickman on special teams, so I wouldn't even know what his special teams game is talking about. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I'm like, I don't know how good of a gunner he is, but
yeah. And the Browns have made it a point to add special teams guys this year. They want that unit to be a lot better. So
I'll give you that. We cut one of y'all dudes from linebacker. We cut one of your special team cats.
That's right. All right, Mikey.
Let me do a read real quick, and then we will get into our next topic. Aditi needs an extra 10 minutes, she says, so we're going to do 32 for 32 next. But before we do that, we want to remind the good people out there that if they need any Browns gear for the upcoming season, whether it's for themselves, their families, their brothers, their sisters, their sons, their daughters, their cousins, their grandmas, their aunts, or the UCSS crew, they should go do their shopping at www.fanatics.com/UCSS. Help us help you get fitted with the best Browns gear on the market for the upcoming Browns season. That once again, www.fanatics.com/UCSS. We'll get Aditi on here as soon as she's ready. She asked for 5 more minutes to get ready, but while we're waiting, let's do the next part of our 32 and 32 series, which brings us to number 12.
Whoa.
David Njoku.
Where did I made my list, by the way.
And you still haven't sent it to me.
Hold on. I got to find
that.
it.
Well, while
G.
he's
Bush,
looking,
will you overlook Bull's shoulder to make sure he's not making this up here?
Hold
that
on.
this
I'll
is
bring it
really
up.
a list?
I got saved in a file. I got to remember what
You know,
file
you got
I put in.
spreadsheets over here.
Zach Jackson's made the joke, nobody's covered David Njoku since July. He's been open all of preseason. I think he's in line to have a really big year. 12 is probably about right. I think I'd have to see the top 10, but I think you could argue he's in the top 10. No. 12 on this list. There you go again.
Hey, that's Elijah Moore territory, Jason.
There you go again.
There's my list. I'm showing it to G.
List
Where you
is
got
verified
Njoku?
over here.
Where do you got
Verifiable list.
Njoku?
I got Njoku 14.
All right.
Okay, we're in the same range. You're right with us.
I'd have to. I want to see the top 10 because I could argue that he's in the top 10.
By the way, I did not have Bubba Ventrone on my list.
Boy, that's
That's a miss
hard.
out of you.
Has
Bad
Bubba
job out of you,
Ventrone
Slappy.
been mentioned on this list yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Where was he? Well, at least he's not in the top 10.
Mad high. Like the special team coach was over like the left tackle.
No.
Or,
In Earl's
sorry,
mind, he
sorry,
was. In Earl's
the
mind,
right
he
tackle.
was.
The right tackle. Sorry.
Ventrone was 24.
24. Okay. Well, that's not egregious.
I actually had him at 32, and at the last second, I took him out.
Ventrone?
Yeah. Put somebody else in, but I don't like my 32. I could be talked out of my 32.
Well, I think back to Njoku. I think he's going to have a big year. He's got to hold on to the ball. There's like this camp of Njoku people who say that the drops are overrated. No, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not overrated.
Who's like that?
Oh, it's all over Twitter that we make too big of a deal about the drops, guys. Off the top of my head, there was the Saints game, the freezing cold game, hit him right in the hands in the end zone. He catches that. We're having a completely different conversation about that game. He can make those catches all day. Now he has to make the routine catches, and if he does that, 800-900 yards is not out of the question in this offense with Deshaun.
Man, he's gonna be. I think he's the key to whether or not people.
He's the red zone target, not Elijah Moore.
Yeah, like he's the key to whether or not we sit here talking about Deshaun Watson like, oh, he really throwing the ball. Like, because that's the cog and piece that people haven't really accounted for.
Yeah.
And, Kevin Stefanski knows what to do with tight ends, man. I mean, he schemes them open.
There's no reason David Njoku has the physical talent to be in that second group of tight ends. Obviously you got Kelsey and Kittle and Andrews.
He has the physical talent to be in that group.
You're probably right.
I was going to say,
but at the very least, he should be there with the Hawkinsons.
Yes.
And, maybe Evan Engram and those guys in that second tier. And he's not. He's still a tier below those guys. He needs to get up at the very least to that second tier this year.
Kelsey would tell you, if you looked at Kelsey and you just put him on, like, take your clothes off, pause. And
not all of them.
Not all of them.
Just some of them.
And stand here and let's go through measurables, right? When you talk about height, weight, jumping ability, speed, like he's better than Kelsey at all those tangible things.
Yeah, there's a reason he wears a shirt less than J.R. Smith.
Yes.
He never has a shirt on.
And so the crazy part about it is, I don't understand, but Kelsey is open all the time.
All the time.
He
just
just
never drops the ball.
And I'm like, why don't they just run the same routes? Can't you steal a playbook? Can't you just say, hey, every route that Kelsey runs, just run that one.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if you're open too. I don't get it, but he's not Kelsey, obviously. He's not Kittle, obviously, but I want to see what he actually looks like with a vertical passing game and a quarterback.
I thought overall his hands have gotten better.
Oh, yeah.
But it's still not good enough.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And he needs to, if
his hands and blocking him have gotten better.
Yeah.
Because remember before, he couldn't block nobody.
Yeah, that's true. I'm fine with 12. I think it's good.
I saw a crazy stat on Twitter the other day. And it was so crazy I had to go look it up for myself. And it's true. Do you know no tight end has ever had more than 400 yards in a season with Deshaun Watson as his quarterback?
Well, but he hasn't had any good tight ends.
I know.
It's a misleading stat.
Granted, he's only played a couple seasons, but the connection with him and Akins, when they brought in Akins, they had that great connection. And you go back, and it always seems like tight ends, because 400 is not a lot of yards.
No.
Granted, he has not had many tight ends to play with, and Njoku should be the first in a full season to blast that 400-yard barrier. But I saw that, and I was like, nah, no way that's true.
I think it's an irrelevant stat. It's different offense, different coaches, different game plan, and he's never played. Has he ever played with a good tight end? Have any of those tight ends he played with put up big numbers anywhere else?
No, not really. I mean, Akins
Yeah.
is his best.
Akins
and
just
once
a guy.
again, it was more of a not an indictment on anybody. Just it was hard
It's
to
just
believe
interesting
considering
stat.
he threw
Yeah,
for
yeah.
almost 5,000 yards in 2020, his final season. That
Yeah.
the tight end in that group didn't have 400. I mean, the list of guys in the Browns last year that had 400 yards.
This is why this year is so fascinating, because when you look at the Browns, like, you just don't know what to expect. Everything is a projection. You don't know what offense they're going to run. The guys who they used to really lean on, you don't know if they're going to be a focal part of what they want to do moving forward. Even if it's a guy like Nick Chubb. Now, don't get it twisted. Nick Chubb's still going to get his touches, but we still don't know how he's going to get his touches. Is it a pistol? Is he going to run in the shotgun? So it's like, as we sit here and extrapolate, we're like, okay, David Njoku is going to be great next year. You're like, okay, well, is he split out? What are they doing with him? What are we looking for? Like, granted, it was 4 days away, and I've seen the quarterback throw the ball 3 times. I don't know what the hell they run.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All right, Mike.
Well, we're waiting on Aditi, so we'll give her one more sec. On Njoku, just like I asked you guys with Elijah Moore earlier today, what statistical numbers would Njoku have to have this year to match your not the fans, but your expectation?
I have high expectations for him this year. I'd like to see him have about 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's a lot.
I was thinking 850.
Yeah.
I'm in the 850 range, and I think he could approach double-digit touchdowns. Approach.
Yeah.
So, would you say 8? Yeah, 8, 9.
If he had 8-something yardage with 8 touchdowns,
that's a
that'd
big
be
year.
Pretty sweet year.
That's a big, by far his best.
Yeah.
Assuming health, what are the chances he's the Browns' second leading receiver in terms of yards this year?
Good.
Assuming everyone
Very
plays 17
good.
games.
I don't think that's outrageous at all.
I think
Very good.
I mean, I would say if you give me like percentage chance on second leading receiver, I would say
Catches or yards? What would you say?
Yards.
I'm going to say 40% more, 35% Njoku, 20% DPJ, and 5% other.
I think there's a greater chance he is second in catches than yards.
Right, sure, yes, and certainly he could be number 1 in touchdowns.
Could be.
So
Could be.
receiving touchdowns.
So what you're telling me is you can have 2 receivers with 1,000 and Njoku and another receiver with 800.
I think they could have 4 over. Wait a minute. I want to make sure I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid.
Jason's like, hold on.
I've spit out that Kool-Aid.
I think they could have
3 over
800.
8. Yep, 3 over 8.
I can push you to 4 over 8.
I don't see 4.
Who's the 4th?
DPJ.
No.
Gee, last season, just for context, they had 1 receiver with 1,000,
Okay.
2 receivers with over 800, and that's Cooper and DPJ.
Okay.
3 receivers over 600,
That's not
Cooper, DPJ, and Njoku, and that's it. The next leading receiver after that was Nick Chubb with 239.
So what I'm trying to sell is 2 over 1,000 and 2 over 8.
Well, let's look at some of the other teams that had
Like,
big-time quarterback
right,
play
do you
and
get-
what they had. Let's look at Kansas City. Let's look at Cincinnati, Buffalo. Look at those 3 teams.
Which one first? Kansas City?
Yes.
Yeah. So obviously Kelsey had a ton of yards. Did anybody
It's
else
pretty
even have
spread out.
1,000?
It's pretty spread
Okay,
out.
so
after
last
that.
season,
But I
just for
bet they had
context,
4 guys with over 600. No?
close. They had 3.
Okay.
They had Kelsey. So Mahomes threw for 5,200. So that's a lot of yards to be spread out here. Kelsey had 1,338.
Yep.
Got a quarter of them.
Juju had 933.
Okay.
MVS 687.
Okay.
And then Jerick McKinnon, the running back, had 512. 4 guys over 500, and then they drop off. The next closest after that was only 300.
Okay.
All right, the Bengals had, I know they had 2 guys. The Bengals had 3 over 800 because
The Bengals-
Jason Higgins got over 1,000.
That's not true, Bull. Stop lying to the people.
Oh, what did?
They had 2 with 1,000,
Yeah.
Okay.
and Tyler Board was 762.
Oh,
So
okay.
close.
He didn't get
So
any close.
close. What about the Dolphins? I know they had two
Who
over
was the
1,000.
Bengals' fourth leading receiver? Was it Hayden Hurst with 5-something?
It was Joe Mixon with 441.
Oh.
Hayden Hurst was fifth at 414.
I thought he had more than
G.
that.
Bush, when it comes to the Dolphins, as I pull this up, I can tell you that Waddle and Hill had significantly more yards than anyone else. They had nobody over 500 yards outside of those two.
So they was spoon feeding them the ball.
I saw a stat from Field Yates.
Yeah.
Last season, if Tua Tagovailoa dropped back, there was a 50% chance that either Hill or Waddle caught the ball. Not targeted, caught the ball, and a 50% chance of every other outcome possible. Sack, incompletion,
funny,
attempt,
That's
catch to
messed
anyone
up.
else, scramble.
That's
Half his
crazy.
dropbacks ended in catches by one of those two.
So nobody had four guys with 7.
So no one had
600 yards.
2,000 and 2,000 and two 800s.
No.
No
I'll
team
stick
at
with
2001
The
800.
highest was the Bengals with 2 over 1,000 and a third just
That's
under
7,
800.
yeah, right? 7.
Unless you could think of another team for me to look at, which maybe the Cowboys. I know CD had a bunch, and their tight end had a lot.
I wouldn't think.
I don't think their tight end had that much.
No, he only had 600.
What about the Eagles?
The Eagles, I see Aditi in the queue, so I'm going to get to her in a sec. The Eagles last year, A.J. Brown had over 1,000.
Okay.
Devonta Smith had over 1,000. Dallas Goedert had 700, and then it dropped off to 350 next.
What about
That shows-
What's that?
That shows how hard it is to get 3 to
Minnesota?
800. Although Goddard had some injuries last year, I
Yeah.
think.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
asking you shall receive. I know Justin Jefferson had
million.
quite a few yards. They had one receiver, Justin Jefferson, at 1,800. Adam Thielen second at 700.
It is very hard.
But they
to
did
get-
have. They're the only team I believe that had four, or that we've seen so far with 4 receivers over 500.
It's very difficult to get 4 people with 800. It's very.
That's
it's
nearly
very difficult.
impossible.
It's just a lot of yards, and they have to be so evenly distributed,
Right,
the targets and stuff. So
right.
I need you guys to carry me for 30 seconds so I get a mic
How
check on
will we
Aditi.
manage to carry him for 30 seconds?
35
He is
and
pretty
him.
light. Mike, I'm done. We got nothing else to say. Let's go. So we got to be realistic. Like, even Patrick Mahomes, who threw for over 5,000 yards, it wasn't like there was 5 guys with just because we think, well, somebody's got to get those yards, but there's always going to be 10 guys on the back end getting between 50 and 150
Right.
yards.
So
They add up.
if you said, would you say that if like Elijah Moore, this will always gauge whether or not you good or not. If Elijah Moore was playing for, I guess, the Chiefs, you could chalk him up for 1,000, right?
Yes. But
No, I mean-
no, I would say
mean,
no.
Nobody got 1,000 for them last year.
I mean,
Kelsey,
Juju
yeah.
Juju's more proven than Elijah
Than
Moore.
Elijah
I don't
Moore.
know that he's necessarily better than Elijah Moore,
I
but
don't
he's
like
more
Juju.
proven.
He's annoying.
I would say DPJ is a little right.
I don't know. I wouldn't chalk up anybody on the Browns for 1,000 yards anywhere outside of Cooper.
I think I
I
said
would.
3 for 800. I'll drop it to 750. 3 for 750. Give me
3 for 750 ain't bad.
We got Aditi?
We do, but first, I have to tell you guys about our question of the day in the YouTube poll, and that's brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. We asked the YouTube chat, who will be the Browns' second leading receiver in terms of yards? We gave him 3 options, Njoku, DPJ, and Elijah Moore. DPJ had 14% of the vote. Njoku had 20%. Elijah Moore, 67% of the vote to be
Yeah,
the Browns'
the-
second leading receiver. And with that, let's bring on our favorite sideline reporter, the GOAT sideline reporter, for being honest, who asked the UCSS question of the day to Deshaun Watson about the wool beanie during the broadcast
That was
of
good.
last weekend's game. Aditi, what's up? We appreciate you. And how you doing today?
You know, if Jay Crawford tells me to find out why is he wearing a knit beanie, then of course I'm opening an interview with that. Most pressing question
Yeah,
in
we
my
need to
friend's
know that.
mind.
There's
I don't know that it was a great answer. I mean, it was 86 degrees. He just said that that's his thing, and he's done that even going back to Houston. So,
But it's like, so I guess Deshaun Watson's just a hipster.
Well,
right?
it's better than the John Dorsey sweatshirt. Remember that?
Yeah, oh,
When it
God.
was
True. Fair
116
point.
degrees, and he's out there in a sweatshirt, basting in his own juices.
Every day, the same sweatshirt.
Freddie was the same
know,
way.
I
Freddie had that
remember.
hoodie in Baltimore.
I will say that, Jason. Don't you notice that Coach Mike Tomlin does this all the time? Coaches wearing sweatpants and sweatshirts and all of this gear when it's 80-something degrees out. Do they really think that they're sweating off that many pounds?
No.
Like, it's
no.
that much easier than just laying off the Big Mac for a week?
See,
The
nobody,
pizza in the office.
nobody
Yeah.
says anything about the Haslam's penny loafers with no socks. The penny loafers with no socks.
Honestly,
in
I
the
didn't
middle.
even notice it.
Oh, you
That's
didn't?
what rich white people do.
I didn't. You know what? They got enough money to go fix them corns and bunions because that will mess you all the way up.
Yeah.
If I wear those, after one wearing, I got to throw them away.
Yeah, I hear that.
Gee, I don't know. That one doesn't bother me.
Look, see.
I guess, like Adam said, I see it a lot. Who knows?
Yeah.
See
That
that?
one.
See, Aditi be around a lot of rich people.
A lot of rich people. She is. She's hobnobbing with a lot of rich people.
That one. Let's
Aditi, we were just talking about who's most likely to be second on the Browns in receiving yards. You heard the poll results. I gave a slight edge to Elijah Moore over David Njoku, but I think it's going to be close between those two.
Yeah,
Who you got?
I have to tell you, I think Elijah's the number one receiver. I think he gets the most yards.
Dang, bro.
Look at
And I'll
that.
tell you why. I think this.
Are you drinking the Kool-Aid?
Yeah. No, I got to talk to him too, and let me tell you, he is significantly happier than he was when I talked to him week 2 last year and had all these high expectations. I just think that he is more of a chess piece than people realize. It's like Kevin Stefanski keeps saying, he looks like a slot receiver, but he's not just a slot receiver. He can win outside. He can win inside. He's a guy that can be deployed in multiple different ways. And I think that a defense is far more likely to kind of hone in on an Amari Cooper or maybe even hone in on a David Njoku or really be committed to stopping the run game. And Elijah's a guy that already has this unbelievable rapport with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson very clearly already trusts him. And so someone is going to end up open or someone is going to end up guarded in a way that maybe does not fully match what he's capable of. I think that someone is Elijah. And he's a guy that's going to take advantage of it.
All right, now hang on a second, because Mikey opened the show today with asking us, is Elijah Moore the focal point of this offense? And we set him on fire and danced around the flames for asking something so nonsensical, because of course it's the quarterback. Are you telling us that we need to extinguish the flames and apologize to Michael Lucas?
No, of course
good.
not, because he's
All right.
not the focal
Burn,
point
baby,
of the
burn.
offense. I mean, you're referring back to my Deshaun Watson interview on the sideline, and he said, I know that for years this offense has run through 24, meaning Nick Chubb, but now it's time to run through the quarterback. Even I right there was like, really? Because I would still run the offense through Nick Chubb.
Definitely not.
I mean, I
No, he's
understand
right.
what he's saying, but the focal point of the offense is stopping Nick Chubb. I mean, seriously, even if it's Tom Brady back there at his peak, you need to stop the run first. So any defense is going to hone in on stopping Nick Chubb, if that's what you mean by focal point of an offense. If you mean what is the offense run through, then yeah, Deshaun's right. Now you've got a quarterback that you're really expecting to read the defense, to make a decision, to get you in and out of run plays, to know what is the right move to make. Yes. I'm just saying that I think if Amari Cooper right now goes into this season as wide receiver 1A, and if defenses say, all right, we need to stop Nick Chubb, but we also need to make sure that Amari Cooper doesn't beat us, well, then that leaves perhaps Elijah Moore undercovered, and Deshaun Watson's going to take advantage of that, and so is Elijah Moore.
But Aditi, like most teams want to stop a team's number one wide receiver, but the team's number one wide receiver is a number one wide receiver for a reason, and those guys... Like Elijah Moore, he's a talented kid. He's got potential, but he's done nothing. There's been no production from him in his first 2 years. So for me to believe he's going to have more yards than a guy who's been a perennial 1,000-yard receiver is a little hard to fathom.
Okay, but let's also remember
Yeah.
he's in a new offense with a new offensive coordinator, with a new quarterback.
Right.
I mean, compare who are the quarterbacks that he's been playing with, compare who is the offensive coordinator he's been with, and again, not to knock any of these guys, but he is in a system that is really set up for him to succeed. He's got immense rapport and respect for his quarterback, and I know UCSS viewers hate when I do this, but this is what happens when you cover the league at large, you bring in comparisons. Remember all those years ago when defenses were honing in on stopping Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster had 1,000 yards. And Antonio Brown did have more than 1,000 yards as well. He got his because he's a guy that could beat double and triple teams. But Juju also feasted. And when Antonio was gone, Juju didn't feast that same way. And with as much as I personally like Juju, Elijah Moore is a better, more talented, should be more productive receiver than Juju.
But he hasn't been more productive to this point.
Because he hasn't been here. Again, he might not have been in the best fit, in the best match for him.
A couple of things to that. First of all, Amari Cooper's not even close to as good as Antonio Brown, though. I mean,
fair.
And number two,
so he's not facing double, triple teams. I mean, he just has to beat his one guy.
But number two, like, if how come Garrett Wilson as a rookie was able to have a big year with all those crappy quarterbacks?
Well, again, it's how do you use guys? This is, it makes me, I'm going to use another comparison. It takes me back to when Bob McAdoo, I think, was the Giants offensive coordinator. And the Giants came into Ben McAdoo. Why do I call him Bob? Ben.
Because he was such a bad coach.
He sucked.
Yeah,
It
but
doesn't
anyway.
really matter.
Okay, so the Steelers' offensive coordinator was Todd Haley, and you had Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham Jr., and it was supposed to be the two best, young, brightest talents playing the position of wide receiver. And I remember just thinking, in watching this game, how Todd Haley was constantly scheming Antonio Brown open. This was very early in Antonio's career, so he wasn't like in the habit of beating triple teams and Ben throwing him the ball in ridiculous circumstances. Yeah. But he was moving Antonio all over the field in unexpected ways, using him in unexpected ways, keeping a defense on edge, and that enabled Antonio to be used, again, in a creative way. Odell Beckham Jr. was not being used that way. And it was sort of like he was always lining up in the same spot and you were just expecting him to constantly win outside. And so what I'm saying here is that I think that Elijah Moore's talents will be taken advantage of in a much more significant manner than when he was in New Jersey.
All right.
And
again,
right. We're not seeing any of this yet because why would you see it in preseason? I just have a sense, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I'm throwing it out there. I think you shouldn't sleep on him.
I actually think we're close to saying the same thing, just in different languages and different dialects. I think Aditi's a little bit higher than we were.
Yeah.
But I think we're pretty close.
I think he's going to have a good year.
Yeah.
I said I think he's going to have 900-something yards and 6 touchdowns. To me, that'd be a great
year. I mean, that's a monster year. Wouldn't you be so happy with that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Thrilled. I have high expectations for him. I just wouldn't expect him to be.
I like when the garbage can's tipped over.
I don't more yards than Cooper.
The thing with David Njoku is I'm not concerned about total yards with him. I want those red zone catches.
Yeah,
That's what I want. Yes, exactly. So in the red zone, I need a 95% catch percentage.
Yes.
And then we're going to feel good. Who cares if you have 600 yards or you have 900 yards? Just catch the ball in the red zone.
You're going exactly where I wanted to go. This is my little bit of a hot takey, maybe. I haven't really thought this all the way through. Are we to the point where yards don't matter anymore? Because defenses will give you all the yards you want. It's about touchdowns. So yards are becoming a little bit meaningless. Show me the touchdowns.
Why have we heard defensive coordinators over the course of the last, 5-7 years say, bend, don't break, bend, don't break? They don't care if you're marching up and down the field. They just want their red zone defense to be as tough as it possibly can be. And keep them out of the end zone, and that's what it is. So the flip side to that, of course, is score the touchdowns. Like at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather, if you're a receiver, would you rather have 1,000 yards or would you rather have 15 touchdowns, 17 touchdowns?
What's going to make you more in free agency?
The touchdowns, because then your money.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Tyreek Hill last year have a ton of yards and slow on touchdowns?
I'd have to look that up. This is why we have producers, right, Mikey? This is why we have producers.
Because I remember when they were...
No, listen, he had Tyreek Hill last year had an absurd amount of yards.
Right, but I remember when the Browns played him, he had like 3 touchdowns.
He had 1,700 yards and 7 touchdowns on the season.
I mean, 7's not low, but it's not what you would expect for 1,700 yards.
Second lowest of his career.
And I don't know, I'm just curious.
But if you're a game breaker, if you are one of the main points of your offense, don't you expect, you really should average a touchdown a game. And maybe that's 1 week you have the 3 touchdowns and 1 week you don't have any. Right. But I think it's very reasonable. If you are a true game breaker, that means you break open the game. That means you score.
Certainly double figures. Double figures in touchdowns.
Yeah, yeah, every time the ball is in your hands, you should have the potential to score. If you're not cashing in on that, if you're not scoring, I mean, yeah, I'd rather take the touchdowns. Obviously, you need to get down the field, but who cares if you're methodically getting down the field? Who
I'm with
cares
you.
if it's 5 yards every, first down 5 yards, second down 6 yards, first down 4 yards, second down 7 yards. Like, I don't care whether you have those chunk plays or not. I just need you to score touchdowns. It doesn't matter how it happens.
I'll take them 1,700.
I think you guys are going.
Give me them
but
all the
wait a second.
1,700
Hold on a
receivers.
second.
Come on over here.
I think you guys are going over the top. I get what you're saying,
Give me
but
that
like,
17.
if Justin Jefferson gets an 80-yard completion and gets tackled into 3, and some slapdick tight end catches the touchdown,
Sure.
well,
Okay,
Jefferson
fine.
did all the work.
But
to get
how
him
often
there.
does that actually happen?
Sure.
That happens quite a bit.
80-yard plays that
Well,
don't
maybe
score?
maybe not 80-yard plays, but like.
There's a need for 30-yard chunk plays. Yes, that's
Of course.
what's been missing
Yeah.
from the Browns offense.
And even a play like, hey, it's 4th down and 2. I catch the pass that moves the chains. That's a pretty big
I
deal.
just think that we're in the early phases of this evolution of the game again, where
Yes.
how are guys going to get? That's all they care about. How am I going to get paid?
I got you.
And so I just wonder if it's sort of like baseball and bullpens and the evolution of bullpens. Are we
Yeah.
seeing this shift
yes,
of
the-
pile
You know
on
what?
many
Here's what I'll
yards as
tell you.
want?
Winning cures everything. This takes me back to Lamar Jackson's rookie year when they just weren't throwing the ball at all. And I remember having a conversation with Willie Snead, and Michael Crabtree was on that team. And the wide receivers, all they did that entire first season was block. I mean, there was no catching, there were no
they
stats,
weren't
there
any
was
good.
nothing for them. Well, I mean, come on, they could at least, they weren't being thrown the ball, period. They weren't even being
Yeah,
given an
fair.
opportunity. And I remember Willie telling me, I was like, nobody's complaining, nobody's whining. He's like, we get in our room and we moan and we wish we got to do what we could do, but nobody does it outside of the room, outside of the wide receiver room. He's like, we're winning. How do you argue with that?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
to your point, if the Browns can win, what are you going to do? Is Elijah Moore going to sit there? I'm saying him, but it could be anyone. Is Elijah, Amari, anybody, whoever, DPJ, are they going to sit here and say, well, I didn't get my 100 yards, but we're 4-0, we're
Yeah.
5-0, we're 6-2? You know, like, come on.
Right.
Aditi, just to accentuate your point a second ago before my question, 5 receivers last year had double-digit touchdowns.
That's it.
My question for you, though, Aditi, is last time you were on, it was either last time or 2 times ago, you mentioned Deshaun Watson looking night and day different from how you saw him, especially up close and personal on the sidelines last season. Then you saw him again against the Eagles in the preseason game, and I know he didn't play, but are you seeing a progression in confidence even from week to week in your personal interactions with Deshaun Watson that make you feel even better about his prospective
What a leading
2023
question.
season?
Well, yes.
Did I say
You're
no?
leading with
I
this.
know, that was a long question right there. But no,
Banter. It was a
of
sad
course I
question.
am.
Not
I
my
think,
best.
look, it's funny because Anthony Walker and I were having this conversation on the sideline last week. And you know that Anthony Walker is just one of those natural leaders. And when the Browns lost him last year, they lost something that went beyond his play, beyond what he gave them at linebacker. And that's just sort of this personality, energy guy that not only gets the crowd riled up, but gets the team sort of focused, the huddle, whatever you want it to, however you want to phrase it. He's kind of like that intangible glue. And so he and I were having this conversation about how Zadarius Smith is a guy with a ton of personality. Rodney McLeod and Juan Thornhill are veterans who have won, who knows what it takes to win, and who also are strong personalities. How Shelby Harrison, Dalvin are both also veteran guys, professionals who can help bring younger guys along. And the piece to that is that it takes something off of Myles's plate. And now Myles Garrett, not that he's not a leader, he's just not a very vocal, obvious, his energy is not directed towards getting guys jacked up as they're on the field. The way that he leads is obviously through virtue of his work and his play. And so Anthony and I were having this conversation that, you know, Myles, can just be a little bit more comfortable being himself because some of this is off his plate. He doesn't have to try to be somebody else. All these other guys are sort of picking up the slack in this other area. In the same way, you expect Deshaun to just be better because he can just be himself. He is just more comfortable. He can just focus on what he needs to do as opposed to all the other stuff that's off the field, plus the things on the field where you're kind of the starting quarterback, but you're not really the starting quarterback. You sort of have to cede to Jacoby Brissett, and you want to cede to Jacoby Brissett because Jacoby is such a great guy. But then you're taking over for Jacoby, but Jacoby is still established this unbelievable rapport, and you're still kind of sort of trying to prove yourself, and you still have your rust. All of that is gone. So now he just has this level of comfort, and each week you feel more comfortable being exactly who you are. So it's a very, very long answer, but it was a long question. I'm just saying, simply by virtue of all of that, you expect to see someone better. And in general, this is a guy that should be better every single week. He's more versed in the offense. He's thrown more balls. He's gotten more reps with all of his receivers and tight ends and his line. All of that, you expect to see something better. And it's reasonable to expect that. It's why coaches and teams talk about peaking late in the year as opposed to early in the year, because you get better every single week.
Aditi, what do you make of Austin Watkins Jr.? Is it just a nice, cute little story, or do you think the kid can really play?
I mean, it's a great story, isn't it? The guy, comes out of UAB, tries to latch on to a couple NFL teams, plays in the CFL, comes back and plays for his hometown USFL team, Birmingham. Doesn't really have a monster year, but wins the championship, catches enough eyes to come here, and is catching everything that comes his way. It's a guy seizing an opportunity. I got to talk to him after the game because he had another monster game, as you can see right there. And he just was very... I don't know the best way to say it, but almost just calm about it. I'm not focusing on making this team. I'm not focusing on how many receivers there are. I'm not thinking about who's a lock and who's not and who's been drafted and I haven't. I'm just focusing on doing what I'm here to do, which is catch the ball, run the routes, play the game. He's a great story. I think he's going to be hard to not make the team, but I think the Marquise Goodwin thing, he's a different receiver. Goodwin is a guy that stretches the field. That's not necessarily who Watkins is, but it is a numbers game. Does Jakeem Grant make the team as a returner, and does that affect things? It's interesting. It's hard to disagree with the numbers that he's put up, because at some point, it does matter. It is production. And, you heard John Harbaugh say that yesterday when people are trying to denigrate the Ravens' very, very, very long preseason win streak. Those games do matter to the guys that are trying to make a team. And those games do matter to people that are fighting for a job. And somebody who stands on the sideline in the fourth quarter, maybe the quality of play isn't the same as what you'd expect week 4 out of your first teamers, but the effort and the intensity and the focus is absolutely the same. If anything, it's even more because those guys are hungry.
But Aditi, despite that, anybody discussing the streak is embarrassing themselves, and I'm crapping on it because who cares?
Okay, that's how you feel. I disagree.
Well, let me
wait.
I mean, winning is winning is winning.
No, it's not.
To win.
No, it doesn't. Right. It doesn't matter. You think it matters?
I mean, I think it matters in that they're creating a culture where they're saying every single time we go out there, every single time the ball is kicked off, it matters to us. I mean, does it matter that it's led to a Super Bowl? No. Does it matter that it's led to something very significant in the standings that matter? No. But it is an organizational ethos that every single snap matters. And when you're filling out the bottom of your roster, you want guys that believe every single snap matters.
I think it matters to them.
That's fair.
The Browns went 4-0 in the preseason and didn't win a damn game all year long.
But that's fair.
Aditi
makes a good point.
I've been trying to tell them all year, Aditi, listen, it's the process. When you're trying to find guys, you want them to toe the line and have a process. That's how you can choose between.
That's how you get out of a losing. Browns have a losing.
That's mentality. There's this Browns fan that went nuts. I'm sorry that I don't know his name, but he kept tweeting about how the failure of the first team offense in the Commanders game to march all the way down the field and then not punch the ball in shows how Kevin Stefanski is a terrible red zone caller and blah, 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 and et cetera, et cetera. So in that instance, I don't care that they didn't punch the ball in because Nick Chubb wasn't playing, their number 1 running back. Jerome Ford wasn't playing, their number 2 running back. Joel Bitonio, their starting left guard, was not playing. Jack Conklin, their starting right tackle, was not playing. It wasn't truly the ones, and it wasn't a game that mattered where they're unveiling their best plays. So for me, it was far more meaningful that the first team offense so methodically, so on point, so well marched down the field, that Deshaun Watson was comfortable tucking the ball and running when he thought that was the best move, that he was making his decisions and reading the defense so quickly. All of that mattered. It didn't really matter to me that they didn't punch the ball in there. Whereas in a regular season game, it would have. So I get that piece of it, and I will give you that for the preseason. And I also think that the preseason, it was important to see, what does John Kelly do with that? What does Felton do with that? It's an opportunity for some other guys who are trying to make the team show whether they can cap the drive or not, in which case they couldn't. So all of that, it matters. I don't know. It does matter to me that Cade York isn't making kicks.
That matters.
Yes, I appreciate
that
that
matters.
he's made every single. I appreciate that Bubba Ventrone tells me that he's made every single kick at practice.
Who cares?
That they've streamlined his process. That his leg is so strong. All of that matters to me. Yes, but it matters to me more that when the lights are on, he just doesn't look like he looked a year ago. And I had this conversation. with Jay Feely, in fact, on the phone the other day. I was driving home. And we were talking about week 1 because we were on the call for CBS week 1 last year against the Panthers. And I stand on the sideline often right next to the specialists. And Cade York had a chance to go in there against the Panthers. He's a rookie. It's his first ever game, and he's got to kick this incredibly long kick to win the game. The look on his face, all right, let's go, I'm ready to go. I think the guy didn't want the Browns to score a touchdown because he so wanted that money kick. Was very, very different than the way that he looked against the Eagles there at the end. And that, to me, again, I'm telling you, mental state, where you are, where your confidence is, what your comfort level is. If I'm going to tell you what matters to me about Myles Garrett and it matters to me about Deshaun Watson, of course it matters to me about Cade York. I want a kicker who feels like a gamer, who's so excited to get in there and who expects to nail the ball. But again, I'm not willing to give up on him because Chris Boswell went through this, 5 years ago. He had a whole season of yips.
Yeah.
The Steelers didn't give up on him, and he's been one of the, top 5 kickers in the league since.
Right, but you can't. I mean, it's tricky though, Aditi, because he made his first 8 field goals last year, and then he went 16 of 24 the rest of the season, which is terrible. And he looks shaky now.
Could you imagine after that Carolina kick that we'd be having this discussion?
I know. But
see, here's the thing. I think what happened a year ago. So, number 1, I think he was overkicked a year ago. I think he kicked too much. Number 2, and I've been told this by multiple people, there was too much in his head. There was too much of, in this city you kick this way, in this weather you kick this way, in this climate you kick this way, in this stadium you kick this way, in this wind you kick like this, but in the third quarter you kick like this. And this is a guy who is supremely talented, who just naturally has an incredibly strong leg, whose a kick is good enough. And every kicker I've ever spoken to has told me that in different climate, different weather, you make a minor adjustment. You don't have a totally different kick. So what happened is early, the guy was relying on his natural talent and what he did. Then as the season went on, there was a little bit too much in his head. He was thinking too much. And we all know what happens. It's paralysis by analysis. And if you're thinking, you're not doing as good of a job if you're just out there doing. So what the Browns have done this offseason is streamline the whole process, made everything simpler, done everything they can to give him the confidence. Your kick, your A kick, is good enough. That's it. Rely on your A kick. And that's part of why I suspect, I haven't asked anyone this, but I suspect this is why competition hasn't been brought into camp. Because this is a team that completely, totally believes in this young kicker, believes in his talent, and if the issue right now is up here, why mess with what's up here by bringing somebody else in?
But Aditi, if he's messed up here, how do I trust him in a game? And he might cost him the whole season.
I mean, he's got to kick his way out of it. What else? I don't know. I'm not a kicking expert.
Yeah.
You guys should call Jay Feely. You should put him on, actually. I mean, he's a guy that kicked in the league for 13
Yeah,
years.
Jay's tight with Feely.
His son, and Jay is his son is a kicker at Colorado. Jay studies kickers still. You should call him and ask him. He can. I don't want to talk about something that I'm not a true expert at, but he can probably tell you what exactly he's doing with his kicks, right? What Cade is doing with his kicks. I remember we had a game last year, week 13. We had the game, and Jay had watched every single one of Cade's kicks since he started missing and had diagnosed basically what he did wrong on every single kick.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the overthinking and too many people in his head, it all kind of sounds like bullshit, because any rookie kicker, you're going to have that. When it's your first time going through it, you're going to have a lot of people. We all sat here and said he needs to talk to Phil Dawson. Phil Dawson, more than anyone, can tell him how to kick in that stadium. It sounds like a bunch of excuses. Make the damn kicks. Just make the kicks.
Make the damn kicks.
There's a part of me too, Jason, that says that that's completely fair, right? The whole idea here is you have one job, do your job. That's it.
Yeah.
And whatever it takes to get out of it, do your job.
And I've been the biggest Kid York defender. I love the pick. I loved it.
If you're that mentally soft that you can't handle competition, that's a problem.
We're in an environment where you need to coach individuals. It's not the same thing. It's everybody's different. Everyone's motivated in different ways. You get the best out of everyone in different ways. It's nice and easy for me to just tell my kid, you've just got to get better grades, and that's that, period. I don't care. Just get better grades. But you know what? He's 7. I need to sometimes be a little bit more aware of what's going to get better grades out of him. It's the world we're in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Aditi, let's wrap it up with this. Heavy rumors circulating that both, this is stunning. We've heard guys asking for trades before, but never before have we heard two guys at the same time on the same team. But rumors swirling throughout football circles that both Mike Evans and Chris Godwin want to be traded now that Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback for Tampa Bay.
Here we go.
Have you heard any details about this?
I cannot confirm that, and that is the first time I am ever hearing that.
Well, it could be because I've made it up, or maybe it's just quiet. I don't know.
You're not any better than any of these guys that just throw noodles on the wall and see if they stick.
Yeah, exactly. At least I admit when I'm making up stories. When do you go to Kansas City?
Friday.
All right, you excited? Are you going to get some barbecue? No, you don't eat any meat. You can't even take, you go to all these cool
But I think we're going to a barbecue place. I need to check the menu, make sure there's something for me to eat, actually.
Oh, you are going to a barbecue place?
That's all they
We're finally having our crew dinner. Joe Thomas, Chris Rose.
Wow.
Producer, our director. Yeah,
I feel like you have to eat barbecue. You got to break your rules, I feel like, for this one day, no?
Can you have barbecue vegetables?
You could
Why
dip
not?
coleslaw
I'm
in
sure
barbecue
there are
sauce.
vegetables.
By the way, this reminds me, Aditi, I'll tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
This reminds me of this. So, my wife and I don't even think we were married yet. We were just engaged, I think. And we went to a wedding in Massachusetts. It was like a cousin of hers. And when we're driving up there, my father-in-law, or my soon-to-be father-in-law, tells me, yeah, the reception's at a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, you told me this story.
Oh, yeah. I have? Have I told you guys this?
Yeah, keep telling it. Keep telling it.
All right. So I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. I love Chinese food. We're having the wedding reception, like unlimited Chinese food. When I don't have to deal with like just people that are in the family. Beautiful. I'm going to eat tons of Chinese food. We get there. I find out it's a vegan wedding. Vegan. This is outrageous. It was one serving after the next of just greasy vegetables. It was horrible.
We did not have a vegan wedding. We
Thank
did not
you.
have a vegetarian wedding, in fact, although it was so long ago at this point. I will tell you this. Do you know Sam Howell doesn't eat steak or seafood or pork?
No wonder he's the worst
only
starting
meat
quarterback
he
in the
eats is
league.
chicken.
I dropped him off my draft.
Oh,
board
even
as soon
worse
as I
than
heard that
Baker in
report.
your mind? What was that?
Okay, the second. No, he's probably worse than Baker.
Hang on. Two things. One, I told you before I went vegan for 14 hours. It was the hardest day of my life. And second, I know we're going to cut you loose, but we've had you on for 37 minutes. We haven't even talked about contract restructuring. I got to get that in real quick.
Good point.
What do you think about that, about the deals that they restructured? It's going to lead into our next topic and the fact that they cleared up they cleared up all this cap space. Is there anything in the bag, or is this a move for next year? What do you think?
I think that it's probably largely, it's always a smart move, right? It's always smart to be on this side of the ledger, kind of. It's probably more earmarked towards next year. I don't think they're spending a ton of money on a number 3 running back, but it's nice to have that flexibility. And it speaks to how smart that front office is that they do that.
Now they need
And
to
that
find a
they're-
kicker who makes his kicks. How about that?
Who will be Cade York? I believe he will make his kicks.
You can have all the
He will
cap
make
space
his
you want.
kicks.
You better
He
have a
will make
kicker who
his
can make a
kicks.
damn field goal at the end of the
Aditi,
game.
Donovan Peoples-Jones and 2 second-round picks for Stefon Diggs. Would the Bills do that, or am I crazy?
The Bills wouldn't do that.
Of
Yeah,
course
they probably
not.
would.
Of course
What do I got to give up? The Browns don't have any
I
first-round
mean,
picks.
this is like the Colts asking for a first rounder for Jonathan Taylor. I don't get that piece at all. If you say that the position isn't valuable, then why do you think it's worth a first rounder?
Well, this is the franchise that gave up a first-round pick for that.
For Trent Richardson.
Yes, thank you. I forgot his name.
Yeah.
So that's why they want a first-round
Right.
bounty now on.
That's
Aditi,
right.
what if we offered
There
DeJuan
you go.
Jones to Buffalo for Stefon Diggs and 3 first-round picks?
The Browns wouldn't do it. The Browns love DeJuan
The Browns
Jones.
wouldn't trade DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs and 3 first-rounders?
I don't think the Bills would do it. I mean, that's a little bit
the Bills-
ridiculous. I just,
The
what is with all
first-round
these
picks would be in
ridiculous things?
2031, 32, and 33.
No, she's
Can we
saying
have conversations that have
Mike's
sort
saying the
of
Browns
some
would be getting the first-round picks.
reality?
DTR for Josh Allen, straight up. Who says that?
I'm not.
Aditi,
I'm
hang
sorry.
up.
I'm sorry,
Hang
Aditi.
up.
I'm
Just
sorry,
hang up.
Aditi. I'll talk to you later. These
Yeah.
guys tripping.
We're out of control. We'll
Thank
see you
you.
later.
Thank you.
Bye, Aditi.
Thanks, Aditi.
What are you smoking?
Why
what
do
is
you
he smoking
do this?
back there?
Why do you put up with us every week?
I
You
don't
have
know.
better
By the
things
way,
to do.
what percentage of our fans would not trade DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs?
37, maybe higher.
I think it's that high.
We're gonna put in the chat. Put it in the chat, Anthony. Let's make a chat poll. We'll get to that in 1 second.
Would
Aditi,
Earl
thank
do
you
it?
so
I want
much.
to know if Earl would do it.
We'll let Earl answer in a sec, but before we do that, I want to tell everybody that if you're
Earl
not
would do it.
already a member of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, you have 2 different options to join for the upcoming football season, which we are ramping up our overtime perks and tiers. You have the starters tier perk. That's $1.99 a month. That gets you custom emojis and loyalty badges in the chat. And then for $4.99 a month, you get overtime video daily, not Aaron Donald stats. You get coaches tier videos that's overtime, plus all your starters tiers perks, and much, much more. If you want to be a member for the football season, we'll be ramping up what we do, so make sure you check it out. Jason, you alluded to it with Aditi, but the Browns now have the most cap space in the NFL after restructuring Myles Garrett's deal, a day after restructuring Joel Bitonio's deal. They have $33.5 million in cap space. The Garrett deal opened up $12.5, nearly $13 million in cap space. Do you agree with Aditi that this is just a move to eventually roll that cap space over into next season, or do you think Andrew Berry has something sneaky up his sleeve?
No, I mean, what big move is there to make right now?
What could be under his
Yeah,
feet?
there is no big. Stefon Diggs ain't coming here. They don't have the draft capital. The Bills are trying to win. Like, you know,
I'm kidding.
It's,
Yeah, they're
no,
not
but
gonna
no,
trade him.
but,
Yeah.
but it's out there. They're
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
I
a
mean,
deal.
they're not gonna trade him.
So no, but Buffalo's not. They're
The
certainly not going
Colts
to trade
should
him
trade
for
Jonathan
picks.
Taylor if they can get
Yes,
a
I
high
agree
pick
with
for
that.
him.
I agree with that. But certainly the Browns don't need. There is no big move to make.
Yeah.
You know, Mikey, I'll give you full credit. We were texting last night, and I hadn't really thought of this. Mike said, you know, this is one in the chamber for Aaron Donald. If Donald were to become
That I
available.
agree. Whether it's him or somebody else, it
Right.
gives them a lot of flexibility at the trade deadline.
Yes, if something
that
were
other
to
teams
happen,
don't have.
if something were to emerge, and
Yes.
you know, you can go make that move now. Otherwise, listen, when you've got a quarterback making the money that he is, and I know they already restructured him once, you have to keep playing hula hoop.
Yeah.
And run the financial obstacle course with Deshaun's money the way it is. And eventually, we saw it with Minnesota this year. Eventually, it catches up with you. Like, they had to move Tomlinson because they couldn't afford to sign their draft picks.
Yeah.
Now, when does that time come for Cleveland? I don't know. But they've done a nice job at this point of kicking the can down the road and keeping their window open financially. You know, I've talked about it before. I don't know how long you can carry 2 guards making $30 million combined when you got a quarterback making what he makes. But for now, they're doing a really nice job of kicking that can down the road. Eventually, they have to pick up the can, but that time isn't now.
By the way, Aaron Donald's not the player I want to trade for if the Rams are not good this year.
Well, Baker's not on the team anymore. You can't have
No, it's Cooper Kupp.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Why would I want Cooper
Well,
Kupp.
let's wait and
If
see
the
when we
Rams
get
season,
to October.
let's say Stafford shot, he's not healthy. Let's trade for Cooper Kupp.
But why would the Rams do that?
No, if they suck, I'm saying. He's
Even
30
if they,
years old.
Even if
No,
they
no,
suck.
He's 30.
Listen,
Well,
I
I think they'd make Aaron Donald available before Cooper Kupp. But
Trade
maybe I'm
for
wrong.
both of them.
Maybe
They
I'm
got
wrong.
enough cap space.
Okay, here we go.
Aaron Donald, listen, you put Aaron Donald on the squad, then you're talking about all-time great.
Gee, Cooper Kupp's top 5 wide receiver.
He's not Aaron Donald. Let's be clear. Aaron Donald might be the best.
Aaron Donald's old.
Aaron Donald
He's
might
still
be
really
the
good.
best defensive player ever to put on a jersey. Sorry, Cooper Kupp. I had you in my fantasy team. I would have stood up for you, but you got hurt last year. You help me, I help you. That's the way things roll.
You're usually with me on the offense. I'm disappointed.
I like
you
Cooper.
take Cooper Kupp too.
Yeah, I take
Let's trade for both. If the Rams suck,
Give him Luke Whippler and DeJuan Jones.
Hey, by
For
the way, see, this isn't really. I know people are like, oh, this ain't nothing. McNuggets asked a good question.
yeah,
Is it the fact that Andrew Berry is that savvy?
no.
Well, listen, I don't be seeing the restructure game like this.
Everybody's restructures.
Well, why do the Browns? They don't restructure and go from no cap space to the most of all time.
What do you mean the most?
Not most of all time.
Not
Most right now.
I'm the Duke. I'm the Duke of Knee Jerk. Just follow me here. The most this year. So they went from we ain't got no money to $34 million. If it was so simple, everybody would be doing it, right?
Some owners don't. It costs you more money to do that. Some owners are not willing. There's nothing to do with the GM. I'm giving you.
So you are saying Jimmy Haslam needs to just step up a little bit. He should get a benefit of the doubt.
He is willing to spend some money. I'll give him that.
That's all I care about.
The Andrew Berry gets no GM points for restructures.
Oh,
Not
really?
For me. Not for me.
Why not?
Jason, you give him. You do. I don't. You give him. You want to give him a penny's worth of points? I give him a penny.
I mean,
That's part of his job.
I'll give the player a little bit of credit too. They have to be open to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It doesn't affect the play. They get their money though.
No, I know, but still, I promise you, there's NFL players right now that refuse to restructure their contracts.
Just because they don't care about the team or whatever. Screw them,
So
let me ask you this: what's your grade for Andrew Berry from the time he's been here till now?
It's really hard for me, because I don't know about we don't know about this year's draft. I think they've made
what
a lot
you know
of
now, based on the facts you have
I'd
right
give
now.
them B minus, C plus, because I think that they've had to use free agency to compensate for draft mistakes.
Right.
So if he, this is a big draft class for him. If they hit on a lot of these guys, and they emerge as rookies, it goes in answering a lot of questions. And I'll tell you this: if this thing goes off the rails, he just opened a lot of cap space for the next GM, because they're all out.
Right.
Everybody's getting blown out if this thing goes off the rails this year.
All right. Earl gave him a B, which I thought was crazy. G gave him a C plus, I think.
Yep.
I gave him a C. I think you're a little nuts with the B minus.
I said C plus.
Are you going with C plus?
I said B minus, C plus,
That's
like
exactly
80%.
I said
One question either way.
Yeah, C minus. It all depends on who shows up. If a couple of guys show up and they ball out, you'd be like,
right.
B
Well,
minus.
we're going to look at it again.
Yeah.
6 months from now, we maybe we got him at an A minus, maybe we got him at an F. I don't know.
This is a big draft class.
This is huge for everybody.
Yeah.
This season, his job's on the line. Stefanski's job's on the line. What we think of Deshaun Watson going forward is on the line. It's all on the line for the whole franchise. Go ahead, Mike.
So we asked the YouTube chat. Simply, would you trade DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs?
Oh, my God.
58% said no. They would not
There
trade
you go.
DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs.
There you go. I said 37, and you thought I was high. High in number, not high on smoke.
You're kidding.
Anthony, would you like to chime in? This is still going. We have close to 200 votes now.
I think OBJ scarred the city, and they don't want any distractions. And with a dramatic receiver, I'm going to assume that's why most people are saying no.
I'm going to assume that they're all high. Like high.
I don't even know.
We do be liking.
I mean, I don't even
getting
know.
high.
Again, we're talking about 200 people. Like that's.
But that's indicative of maybe the bigger picture.
I hope not.
Is anybody here? You would obviously trade DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs,
Of course.
right? Anthony, Mike, Earl, any of you guys would not make that trade? Be honest.
Earl, would you trade right now if it was offered DeJuan Jones for Stefon Diggs? Would you make the trade?
No, I know Bull's trying to be funny, but that's absolutely like crazy. Of course, you trade for Stefon Diggs. If you
We
get
have.
the opportunity.
I
Before
thought
we
it was
even finish
crazy,
the
Earl, but
sentence, you said
58% of our audience
But 50
said they wouldn't do it.
So let me do some translations.
Yeah.
The Duke of Knee Jerk. The translation is they think that he's going to be a starter at some point this year.
Who cares?
Well, I'm just they give him a starter, and they think that he's going to be eventually an All-Pro.
Even if you told me DeJuan Jones was going to be an All-Pro right tackle, I'd still trade him.
Absolutely.
Are you kidding me?
So
No, hold on. I don't know. Hold on.
He's a right tackle.
Hold on.
put a 2x for there? You got Stefon Diggs.
So
Stefon Diggs a top 5 wide receiver.
So I don't know if very many people would say if you got I project him to be a left tackle. You didn't see he was getting the reps last week?
Finally
He
got the reps.
got 10 reps in practice yesterday.
So them reps, and now we're doing a lot of extrapolating. But if you ask, would you rather have an all-pro left tackle or an all-pro receiver?
This was his stats last season, by the way, which would have led the Browns in all.
Now, if they get Stefon Diggs,
Are you kidding me?
If
This
they
guy's
get-
this guy's
This
like
is
on the Hall of
nuts.
Fame track.
This is nuts.
If you get
this is a
Stefon
joke.
Diggs.
Yeah,
This is like Dogecoin. this conversation is Dogecoin.
I mean, we had
it started as a joke.
58%
Somehow it like inflated the value for about 20 minutes, and then it crashed again.
58% of our listeners.
This is Dogecoin.
if you get Stefon Diggs, I mean, I couldn't say the Browns are Super Bowl favorites, but they would. I wouldn't.
You take this offense to a completely different level.
So now it's like, okay, Patrick Mahomes, whatever.
Now Amari Cooper is your number 2 receiver.
Which is crazy.
All right. Well, with this as the baseline, Mike, do you still want us to all get our heads cut off with your other question? We have 10 minutes
No,
left.
if you guys want to have some fun, you want to wreak some havoc?
No, I'm done with this. I can't.
Okay,
I
we
can't
can skip it.
handle
We can
this
skip it.
anymore.
We'll
This
save
is
that for
insanity.
another day here. We'll save that for another day. I do think if Stefon Diggs truly does want out of Buffalo, which, mind you, the report yesterday came from Stephen A. Smith, widely renowned NFL insider.
Yeah.
We love Stephen A.
There's
but
no way the Bills are trading Stefon Diggs.
I can't imagine a world where even if he pulled a James Harden, which, by the way, James Harden, during the show, has been fined $100,000 for calling Daryl
Oh, by the way, you want to know something even
liar.
crazier? Position for position, I guarantee you 75% of our audience would not trade Elijah Moore for him.
That's probably
Put in
true.
the chat, would you trade Elijah Moore for Stefon Diggs? We have 10 minutes. We'll do this at the very end.
What are we doing?
They'll
Well,
come
I
up
hate
with
to
some
tell you this,
excuse,
but
the
they all voted
contract,
no to
the
mess with
age.
you.
They'll come up with something.
What are we
So,
doing?
real quick before we move on to the last thing we have to touch on here, are we all in agreement that unless something happens around the trade deadline, whether it's Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, someone else we're not thinking of right now, the Browns probably won't use more than $2-3 million, if they even use that much, to any additional additions to the roster for the
They
start
won't
of
make
week one?
any. There's nobody who's left to pay big money to.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Whether it's a trade, most likely this is just straight rollover money, correct?
Right, yes.
Are we all in agreement? Jason
Yeah,
G, do you
yeah.
agree
Yeah,
that
yeah,
this
yeah.
probably will not be touched?
Probably.
If anything, maybe they bring in a kicker, but I doubt they do at this point.
It all depends. It all depends on, like, we've been relatively easy, and I think Coach Stefanski is saying, look, I don't like getting people hurt. We've been relatively easy with injuries. If any injury happens to a big-time player, Myles Garrett,
Right.
somebody else, they're basically saying we have the ammunition
Right.
moving forward that we're not going to look back. We're still
Right.
going forward as trying to maximize this year.
But that would have to be a trade. There's nobody in free agency left that you're spending big money on.
No.
Well, no. But you would, if you traded for him, you would have to absorb a deal.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, yeah.
By the way, we got to talk about something else. I just happened to notice that G. Bush has 172 unread text messages.
We'll get to that. Let me
Yeah.
close this out real quick. We could talk about G and some other mishaps on the show, but
Mind-blowing.
I have one
172?
super chat to read first. Someone in the chat said, I just lost. I don't know where it went anymore. But essentially, I forget who it was. Oh, it's Dog Pound Derek. Keep Jones. Trade Jedrick Wills for Diggs. So that could be coming there. Steve, you're welcome for
Dogecoin.
that. Secondly, we'll get to the poll results in a sec. But before we do that, tomorrow night on WKYC, the Guardians play, and I have the email right here. The Guardians play the Dodgers, and it airs on WKYC. You can watch it right here on Channel 3. Guardians Dodgers, it's the 5th annual Give-a-thon. The broadcast starts at 7, first pitch at 7:10, so make sure you check out the Guardians, who are fighting to not fall into 4th place.
No,
trying
third.
to save their season.
Oh, 4th place or 3rd place?
Their Tigers are ready to pass them.
Tigers did pass them?
Are ready to
No.
pass them.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
fighting to fall,
For 3rd, not 4th.
well, to not fall into 4th. They're in 3rd currently. So check them out.
Tigers
The
pass
game
them?
is
No, they're not in 3rd. The Guardians.
Did the Tigers pass them? It was close. It was really close. The Royals are way back. They're
Tigers lost yesterday, though.
Oh, the Guardians are still in 2nd. You're
Yeah,
right,
what are
my
you
bad.
talking about there?
All right,
I
listen,
knew what I
the
was.
Guardians are so irrelevant to us right now, I'm not going to lie. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't watch the game. Tomorrow night, the Guardians are so relevant. It's
Way
the
to
only
promote
thing that
the
should be
game
on
there,
your
Mike.
television. Guardians, Dodgers, 7 o'clock, 7:10 first pitch. It's the Give-a-thon. It's on WKYC. We love
That's
WKYC. That is the best station in Cleveland that has the 4 letters WKYC in it. There's unmatched. I'll put that against anybody. Tomorrow, the Guardians for one night and one night only are relevant again for this season. Check them out on WKYC.
I want to know if you guys behind the glass,
Which he's going to do tomorrow night, by the way, I hope.
can
you guys
tell
do it tomorrow
me.
night? Yeah, we're doing it tomorrow night.
Tell me what 12 teams would be in the baseball playoffs right now if the season ended. Do you guys know?
The Orioles.
The Orioles is correct, yes.
The Rays.
The Rays
Twins,
is correct.
The Rangers. The Blue Jays.
Incorrect.
Well, the Angels, I think, are just out of it. So I'll say the Astros.
The Angels are 9 games out of it.
So Astros would be the second wild card team in the American League.
Yeah, Blue Jays are a game out of the final wild card. Astros are the second wild card right now.
So I did good right there.
You did good. Who's the last wild card in the American League right now?
The Red Sox have been... No, the Mariners are on fire right now. Give me Seattle.
Seattle, correct. They're
Mariners
a game
have
up on
won 9 in a
Toronto
row.
and 4 up on Boston.
Hey, are you still doing the Oakland bet? Or did you
You
give
know what?
up
I
on
went
that?
to Europe and forgot about
Forgot
it. So
about
now
it.
I'm so far behind. I don't know how they've been doing.
Right,
And then the National League.
National League, who are the 6 playoff teams in the National League?
Braves
You not
for sure.
letting these guys help? They don't know?
Do you guys have any idea who the 5 other National League playoff teams would be? It's the Dodgers, Braves, Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks are not. They're a half game out of a playoff spot right now.
Well, the Brewers lead the Central,
That's correct. You got the 3 division winners right there at the moment.
and the 3 wild card teams. It's not the Diamondbacks, Giants. It's not the Rockies. The Padres back in it.
No.
No.
Padres are 5.5 out of the third wild card.
Phillies,
Phillies are the top wild card team right now.
Giants.
Giants are the 3rd wild card team right now.
Is it your Cubs?
Cubs are the 2nd wild card team right now.
Yeah,
But it's
baseball.
very close. The gap from the Cubs through the Marlins, there's 5 teams within 2 games of those last 2 wild card spots.
All right. Now here's what we have to do real quick.
Yeah. G's text messages?
No, before G's text messages.
Yeah.
We showed this yesterday. We need live play-by-play. Steve, just take it, and we'll just react live in the moment.
Why am I? Oh, I knew it. I knew it. All right.
Crushing you yesterday.
I will spend the next 3. All right, first of all, I haven't played softball in 20 years.
Well, neither have I.
Did you call him off?
20 years. No, I was waiting for someone to call me off. And let me tell you, when you got that much meat moving in that backwards direction like that,
He got scared because that guy was the best player in the game.
yes, he should have called me off.
He should have called you off. You're
and
right.
I kept backing up, waiting to hear someone.
He should have called you off, but he was worried because you were kind of motoring back.
I knew Stephanie was behind me, too.
wasn't making that
I was
catch.
waiting for somebody to call me off, and I started backing up. Like, you could see right there, panic is setting in.
This
like,
guy-
the first 3 or 4 steps back, I'm like, I got it. I'm like, oh, my God, it's farther than I thought.
Yeah, that guy playing shortstop was the MVP. He was the best
He's
player.
phenomenal.
Jay
Neil
was
Fisher.
probably 2nd.
Phenomenal.
And then the guy who was pitching for your team was pretty good. But that guy was the best player.
was-
he made every play at short.
I know exactly where panic set in on that.
Yeah.
And I knew I was going to drop it.
Yeah.
Because, like, my head started bobbling. I was like, oh, God, it's farther back than I thought. And I'm waiting to hear someone call me, and it didn't.
Didn't happen.
And I dropped it.
and
It's
you were the
pitiful.
only one of our group that struck out.
I know. It was so bad. And you know what? On that pitch, it was a horrible pitch. And Jay's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a hard one to lay off. And he totally got in my head. And I swung
yeah.
at a horrible pitch.
100% he got
Well,
hit.
Horrible
Jason,
pitch.
on the positive side, we do have 2 good videos we didn't show of you yesterday, Jason. We didn't want to give you any credit when you weren't here. We'll give you credit. So Jason did hit a single. Here's Jason hitting a single from the game last night
me
on
see.
Sunday.
That was really an E6.
But the most impressive play Jason made, and you guys have seen this on Twitter already, but we'll bring it up one more time, Steve, whenever you want.
Oh, he's
Shout out
sliding.
to
Oh, we were
Steve.
talking about this. All right, there's a lot that goes into this.
Betsy Kling laying down the bunt.
That's Jay making the field.
I fired it home, but I made a bad throw.
So the bat was in my way.
Yeah.
So I had to hook slide around the bat. And then I was afraid of like turf burn if I
Yeah.
went like full head on, head
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
So I did like the little barrel roll to try and alleviate any
Yeah,
sort
it
of
wasn't
turf
bad.
burn.
Everyone's making
I don't
fun
wanna
of
hear
it, but that
about
wasn't
turf
bad.
burn.
I mean,
Yeah, Anthony
by the way,
got
I
tore
was
up.
throwing you out at the plate. I rushed the throw and I made a bad throw.
But that was and in my head, that slide looked much better than what the video shows, and
bad.
it was a much farther run backwards. When I saw the video of the drop, it's like, oh God, it really wasn't that far. Because in my head, I was backpedaling like a defensive back. It was like a 10-yard backpedal.
We had a great time, though.
It was awesome.
It was so much fun. That field was amazing.
Yeah. It was my
And
first time on it.
It was a good atmosphere. Next year we got
I'm playing next year.
G plays.
Yeah.
Earl will play. Tyvis will play.
I'll get if if I'll get both my kids to play. And that was my son, the umpire.
Right.
Who didn't kick the bat out of the way. Thanks,
I know.
Sand.
He did a nice job.
He did a good job.
We were harassing him from the dugout. I was on him the last 2 innings. I was on him on every play.
He made us get about 9 outs in the last inning.
He did. Well, my son struck out
7 times.
Throwing foul balls.
He struck out 7 times, and Sand kept saying foul, which was cool.
And I'm screaming, and what's his name was pitching in the last inning?
Leon Bibb.
And I'm like, make him work. I'm like, he's old. Make him work.
Leon, how old is Leon? 80?
Harassing Leon Bibb.
79? Is he that old?
Yeah, something like that.
It was awesome to have him out there.
Yeah.
And there's Bull heckling him from the dugout. I heard you say, I'll take his head off. I don't care. Like, we're all worried about Leon. And Bull's like, if he's on the field,
I'll
play
take him
ball.
out.
I'll take him out. I heard you.
I wouldn't have really done it. But.
So we got there, and then Baby Bull played.
Yeah.
And then I saw Jason's
AJ played. He took a line drive off
As soon as I put him in, I thought I broke his foot.
And I said, that's my kid. I'm willing to sacrifice his foot for a run.
That ball, the ball hit his foot on a line drive.
And it was Neal who hit it.
Into the air.
It was Fisher who hit it.
Yeah.
It was
it must have gone 50 yards to the outfield off his foot.
Yeah. But then he came back and made a great stab at second.
He played great there. He played great at second, and he pinch ran for me.
Yeah.
In the 9th inning, and I got a hit because of his running.
Yeah, I thought it was you running, and I heard the foot hit behind me playing first. I'm like, and I was like, oh, it's
no way I was beating that one out.
Look at that. Look at that athleticism. Come on now. Look at that athleticism.
He should have faked, and you would have gone if he would have.
I was waiting because I thought he would turn and look at me.
Yeah,
I was waiting for the throw.
Yeah.
That's some blazing athleticism right there,
We
baby.
got Tyvus tomorrow. We're talking Baker and OT. Peace.
Overtime.